Welcome back to Rick and Elaine Discuss the Bible, and in particular, the book of Job. Hello, Elaine Ray Clark. How are you today?
I'm fine. Thank you very much. It's a bit earlier than usual because we're doing a 2 hour. So going to have our thinking caps on. We've asked the Holy Spirit to lead us and guide us into what needs to be said. And hopefully, Rick, it's going to be something that's going to be beneficial to you and myself and to others that are listening. So together as a family, we can really get the understanding of what God is trying to say to all of us. Because like we said earlier on, people don't change. People don't change.
Yeah, you're right. They don't. If you'll notice, I'm still the trophy husband. I haven't changed
I
at
did
all.
notice that, but I tell you what, I just was going to ignore it, really. I just wasn't even going to mention it. I was just going to bypass it. I took no notice of that at all. Yeah. So if
Just,
you're,
just, yeah, just so you know, I am.
well, I mean, the thing is, though, who bought you that mug?
My wife,
Did she?
she bought it for me. She
Did
let
she? Did
everybody
she
know
didn't?
I am the trophy husband.
I mean,
Yes,
she
I
didn't buy
am.
it for her friend to give to her husband. She forgot to give it to her.
Well, it's better than the cup that I got from my children for Father's Day that said "World's Greatest Dad Semi-Finalist."
Ah, but that's not right. That's not right. Because I know a dad that's better than you.
My Father in heaven. So
Exactly. So
I
therefore,
want
that's about right. That cup.
right, right. All right. So look, here's what I'm going to do. All right, I've told everybody the whirlwind was coming on that. This is it. And before we get into the study, I'm going to read the comments. But I have a story. There's something that I want to share with you guys. Um, those of you who have followed this from the get-go, I got to turn this down and make sure it doesn't make any noise. And but those who have followed us from the start um, know that I was going through a lot of hardship with death and grief in my family, and that my business was absolutely wrecked, and collapsing, and the embarrassment of it, and the pride destruction, all that stuff that comes with it. But I had a really cool full circle moment, and how interesting how these things work as we're going through this study of Job, because when you get to the end of Job, you see something really unique, right? You see that he gets this double portion. But I want everybody to notice that he doesn't get a double portion of children. We're going to talk about that too towards the end of this. He has a double portion of livestock and stuff, but he only gains the same amount of children that he had before because those children before matter. They actually still matter, and it's a beautiful picture. But so coming through all of this, here I am, and I want to show you. I just want to show you guys something, okay? So in this box, it
Can you put
says,
it nearer the camera, Rick?
I sure can. It says RKK, and I'm sure you'll see a lion right there. See that
Yeah,
lion?
I
Okay.
do.
So RKK stands for a company called Randall King Knives. That's all it means, okay? And right after Blade Show, I went back to my shop, and I've been getting a ton of orders and stuff. I'm so thankful that I'm busy. I'm busier than I can handle, actually, and that's really good. But this man calls me out of nowhere, and he says, "My name is AJ. I'm with a company called Tactical Elements. I'm from Ontario, Canada, and I'm a huge knife collector, but I also distribute knives. I have something I would like you to make, and could I swing by your shop?" And I was like, "Sure. Like, when are you going to be around this area?" He said, "Oh, I'll be there in an hour." And I was like, "Oh, come on by." So he did. And he and his wife, Jocelyn, stopped in, and I got to talk to them for about 3.5 hours, which was amazing. We just had a nice little visit. And although I was really, really busy, I was very busy at the moment. And normally I'm the kind of person like, I can't take that kind of time to talk to anybody, especially somebody I've never met. But something told me I needed to just stay and talk to him just for a little while. And Karen Rogers has been like, "Rick, it's seek first the kingdom, seek first the kingdom." She's my prayer partner. Me and you, Elaine, we say the same things. Like, this comes up a lot. So as we're talking, he's like, "I've got a few of these knives in my collection. I want to show you the one that I want to remake. It's something from the 1940s. He wants to bring it back. It's almost 100 years old, this design of a knife." And I'm like, "That's cool. That's exciting." And he comes in with this big crate, and he opens it up. And as he's going through all these knives, he pulls out this little box. Okay. And he says it's one of his prized possessions. And he has two of these boxes. One of them is not here for a reason. I'll get into that in a minute. But he brings out these boxes, and he pulls it out, and he shows me this knife. Okay. Now, I'm a knife maker, guys. So understand this is a knife world thing, okay? And it's very loud, so I'm getting ready to fire it. And it's a very long, beautiful knife, as you can see. You
They
can't have
frighten me nice.
can't have these in England. But anyway,
No, you can't. No, you can't. I mean, they frighten me like guns frighten me.
yeah,
We
they
don't have
do.
guns. We don't have knives. We don't have anything. Can't carry a knife. Can't even carry a pen knife. Can't carry a knife like that. No,
You can
no,
carry this. You
no, you
can
can't.
this. You can. We sell them
No,
in
you,
England. We sell them in
yeah,
England.
yeah. It doesn't matter. I mean, they sell great big machetes in England as well,
Oh
but
yeah,
yet you
yeah.
don't
You
have them.
can't carry them. That's fine. That's fine. I understand why they scare you, but anyway, all right. So he pulls this out and he was like, have you ever heard of Randall King knives? And of course, I got super excited and I said, I have a funny story for you if you'd like to hear it. And he was like, okay. And I said, I made that knife. The knife that he was showing me, I actually made it. And I was like, and the other one was a black one. And I ended up giving this other knife to my father. But anyway, he says to me, what? And I said, I made that knife. There's a reason. It was in 2004. Randall King, who made these knives and got famous in the knife world, was from here, from my area, and he needed a production outfit. And I worked for a company called Wirtz Wire that actually built, that constructed these knives and made them for him. He actually embedded in our shop. And he was like, "You're kidding me." And I said, "No." And I was like, "But I have something I want to show you. It's even better." And I said, "Follow me." And I took him out of my office and I walked out on the floor and I said, "Here where I'm standing is where we made them." I said, "You've come to the place where your little treasured possession was made."
Wow.
And he was floored by that. He was so excited as a knife collector. He said, "Rick, I want you to have both of these knives." And I was like, "No, it's your
No,
I said, "No, it's your collection." I was like, "I don't
no.
want the knife. I made them. It's okay." He was
Well,
like,
I'm a Christian, but I want to give them to you.
but he said but he said
Mine, you're
he
mine.
said, I am so embedded in the knife world and I love these kinds of stories." And he said it would mean a lot to me that I could give these
Wow.
back to the guy that made them. And I was like, "Well, Randall King died last year." Um,
Oh,
and so I was like, it would have been awesome if you could have just met him and be like, "Hey, here's something you made, 22 years ago or whatever." But he said, "I really want you to have it." And
how lovely was that?
it was very lovely. And it was full circle for me. And I've gotten this influx, like honestly, and this isn't bragging. Listen to me,
Be
guys.
careful what you pray for, Rick.
You listen. That's right. Listen, guys, this isn't bragging.
No.
This is how it works. This isn't the prosperity gospel because whatever I'm about to get right now, God can take away from me at any moment. I'm a steward of whatever it is that he gives me.
That's
But what I've
exactly
learned in all of this is that my
right.
relationship to him is what actually matters. And that's what he's always wanted with me
well,
and with
well, I think
you.
exactly what I think. What we're going to study, it's pointing out to you. Basically, if you want to cover everything, God's saying, well, where did you get this from? Who gave it
Hmm.
to you? Who
Hmm.
can take it away? Who is the one that
Hmm.
gifts it? Who is the one? I mean, this is what we're going to go into.
It
At the end of the
is.
day, God steps into the equation here, and He's the only one that's talking sense.
It
Um,
is. And the way that this book was written, there's so many things about it that just kind of blow my mind. Like I'll give you a short list. Like the Satan character speaks in the first two chapters. You never hear from him again.
well, he's the
Um,
prosecutor, isn't he? He's the prosecutor in the whole scenario of the court case. He's
and
prosecuting.
I mentioned that a lot of the words that were coming from him were coming out of the mouths of Joseph's friends along the way, right? And then Elihu that shows up on the scene, and then he just dissipates. He comes from nowhere and goes into nowhere. It's the strangest story. I mean, like Job is such a unique story. There are things about it that really pique my interest, when he starts
I
talking
suppose
about.
it's like anything. I suppose it's like anything in life, though, Rick, isn't it? I mean, what you really want is the basic meat of the story, all the flouncy bits. Like sometimes people say, "Well, I went down the shop. Oh yeah, and I took mine. I had this really nice dress." And I say, "I'm not really interested in the nice dress you had on, unless it's part of the story. Otherwise
Mhm.
you can spend 5 minutes on what you took down there before you actually get to the real thing." And I think that what God's done is He's taken here the important information, the
Mhm.
discussion, their heart condition, how they've responded and gone backwards and forwards, and how they've gone down different paths. The more they've spoken, the more their paths have widened. Job's gone off on one tangent, and they've gone off on another tangent. And I think that God's only giving us really what we need to know in our own lives. It's the important things that really matter. Like you said, what really matters in that story, which was lovely, is that, wow, it shows you that something can be made there. You never know how many years later something's going to turn up again that you never even believed would happen.
No.
And you think, well, what's happened in between all of those years? So much stuff, and yet things do a full circle. It's very, very strange to me, things, and again, like I say, for me, the poetry, the love story, nobody could write that unless it was God. Nobody could. Inspired, all scripture is inspired. This is inspired, and you can tell that because of the poetic language is so deep and beautiful, and it moves you, and you think, like I said before, I couldn't even write 2 verses that sound as beautiful as the 2 verses that I could get any 2, and it would have such depth of meaning. And again, to have 42 chapters with such depth of meaning, I mean, that in itself is crazy. That in itself is crazy.
It really is. And that's what I've enjoyed the most about this study, obviously, is getting to know you more, Elaine. We've grown very close.
Likewise.
And then also all of the people that have been on it, they've stayed faithful with us and wanted to encourage us, whether they might have only been here just because they wanted to encourage us. And that's a beautiful thing to me.
Well, 100%. But again, Rick, I think to myself, I'm not saying this because I don't want people to be here, but I think even if nobody was listening, I've gained so much from it myself. So if one person's gained something from it and you have, that's 2 people. And, thank God that other people have found it useful for their lives, or that, they've gone in a little bit deeper that they never have done before. And it's helped them. So again, for me, it's just totally opened up the idea of, who am I in all of this? And that's why I keep saying, at the end of the day, I've stopped saying, help me, Lord, to do this. Because I mean, as if I'm asking God to help me, I'm just saying, Lord, lead me. It doesn't say lead us not to tempt. It doesn't say help me not to be tempted. It lead me not.
Lead me not.
That's the thing. Exactly. Only God can lead. Only God can take us into the truth. Only God could take us that door that we pass through.
Right.
We can't find it on our own. And that's the thing. For me, it's lead me in to what you want me to see, and then how I can change because of it. Because it's all about becoming more and more like Christ, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Ultimately,
that's what all of this is about. Yeah. That's what it's all
going
about.
back to the image of God, isn't it?
It is. All right. I'm going to read the comments from our last video. Everybody knows this is the finale. It's going to be a 2-hour special. I'm going to go ahead and warn you now. There are going to be bathroom breaks and interruptions and things like that happen. This is just me and Elaine during our normal day of life.
Exactly. Come pull up a chair, put your feet up, get yourself a cup of coffee, and talk to your computer.
And and it's like Elaine, Elaine always knows whenever I'm about to close the study, it just means that I've got to go to the bathroom. That's what I do.
To pee break.
To pee break. That's right. All right. So this comes from Tony Driver. Hi, Tony. Thank you for always being here with us. Great study today, Rick and Elaine. I've already made 3 songs from today's study.
Wow. Well, I would like you to sing some of them, really, Tony. I think that would be nice to hear you sing some of them.
Well, she's an incredible songwriter. She writes all these lyrics and puts all this music together. Even if you're using AI technology, it's still, I promise you guys, it takes a little bit of effort. And when I say a little bit, I mean, like, you got to really dig in. And the fact that a lot of these, when you listen to these songs, she's caught the nuggets of what we're talking about here in our study, and it shows up in her songs, which is amazing.
Yeah.
She says, I continue to be amazed at the connections and insights that come out of Job each week. The discussion about Elihu suffering, suffering, the mediator, the ransom, and the coming whirlwind gave me a lot to think about and a lot of songwriting inspiration.
There you go.
Thank you both for the time and effort you put into these studies. I have truly enjoyed learning from your insights and walking through Job with y'all. Until next time, have a blessed week.
Oh, bless you. That's so sweet, Tony.
Hugs. She said hugs from the Driver family. So hugs to you.
Hugs back. And kisses. And I think that's what, again, we've said it before. That's what it's all about. This is literally We're not two people sitting here telling people we think this, we think that, and going backwards and forwards with an argument sort of thing. We're literally asking God to take us through these people's lives, their thought processes. It literally is getting down to the nitty-gritty of what they're thinking and what we can glean from it. And it's so lovely to see that other people can see that is all we're doing, really. I'm not here to tell you that I'm the be-all and end-all, because I certainly am not. But I like to give out what I think that God is giving to me. And it's nice to hear what other people have. And again, it's like I say, I can't see what's behind me. Well, I know it's behind me because it's my house and I see it on the video.
I know exactly what's behind you because I see it every week.
I know, yeah. If I get in the right place, I look like Carmen Miranda.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think if I'm in the right place, I look like Carmen Sandiego, and you don't even know who that is. Just kidding.
No,
Carmen Sandiego. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?
I've got garland around my head. Look, I look like I'm crowned with a garland.
I don't know if anybody's ever seen this painting that's behind me. This painting. So anybody that knows me knows that I've been divorced and remarried. But
are you addicted to wedding cake?
Well, my ex-wife, Kelly, is a very incredible artist and has been since we were kids. I mean, she was an artist back then when our kids were growing and everything. And after her father died, she painted this image, and it's 3 raven or crows. These are more actual ravens, but her father, Jimmy Lanning, who was my father-in-law, it meant a lot to me. Loved the crows around, and he talked about crows. He knew a lot about them, and anytime I'd go camping with him or whatever, he'd always tell me something about crows. And she painted that, and I actually bought it when I saw it, because after he died, she painted that, and there's a poem that he had written, and it's on the back of it.
Oh, how beautiful.
Yeah, so I keep it in the office. And I told Holly, my wife, today, I was like, please don't be mad at me, but I bought this really expensive thing for my ex-wife, but it's meaningful because of what it is.
Well, the thing, it doesn't really matter whether it's for your ex-wife. It's just a gift that she has, and it means something to you. So when you look at it, it's the picture, isn't it? Rather than sort of like, the past life that you had with her. And she
wasn't upset at all. I mean, she's also the mother. This woman is the mother of my children, and so she knows.
Oh, all she knows.
Next quote. Next comment. Pastor Alan Thompson. Hey, brother.
Hi, Rockstar.
Yeah. Another great episode from our Rockstar family. Thanks for the work that the both of you put into this. It has been a blessing to me personally, and I love y'all, and we love you. I'm glad that it was. I'm so thankful that this was helpful, and Alan, so are you to us. And
I know.
Yeah, it means a lot. I love you and Dina very much, and it was immediate family.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. I, as I say, I've seen photographs of you, which was really nice when Rick went down there. So I have an idea of what you all look like.
What does your pin say? What does your pin say? You put your pin right up in front of the camera. What does that pin say? Bring it over. Jesus loves you. Wow. That's great. Yeah. All right. Here's the next one.
My daughter bought me these for Christmas.
That was very kind of her.
10 of them.
Really?
Yeah.
7 sons and 3 daughters. Okay, here we go. Wow. What a great study today. This is Heather Lynn Ross. Hi, Heather.
Hi, Heather.
Wow, what a great study today. Thanks for all the hard work y'all put into this study. I can't wait for next week. Thank you, Heather. Yes. I've got something funny to tell you, Elaine. I don't know if I told you this or not, but you need to know this. Okay. Are you ready? So when you come here to stay with me in August, and we're going to the Arkansas Eschatology Conference together.
Yeah.
Tony Driver and her daughter, Heather, who I just quoted, are going to come up, and they're going to have Cameron and Jalen and their little baby, C3, I call him. They're going to ride with us in the van out to Arkansas.
With the baby as well?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I mean, is that going to be sort of like a good thing?
It's a great thing. Are you kidding me? All right, guys, remember what I said at the conference about how babies are allowed to cry because I'm an old school Baptist. Well, and if Elaine doesn't like it, we'll strap her to the top of the van. That's exactly.
I'll probably get out and hitchhike. The only thing is, I would have probably done a 15-hour flight, not really worked with the thing, and I'll be like this in the car.
Yes, I certainly hope so.
So how many are going to get in that car then?
Dude, this is a monster van. This is a monster van. Yeah, there'll be.
How far back can they sit?
Do you see how much Elaine loves you guys? She wants to get close and intimate. And the minute she hears baby and other people, she's like, I want them gone.
I think I'm getting too old for that baby
So
lark.
she's so English. So English.
Yes, I'm afraid we sort of like, we see
Once
them,
the babies are born, they kick them to the curb.
we do.
You just put them out on their own,
We give them to a wet nurse and we say bring them back when they're 15.
The English are like the ostrich that we're going to read about today. All right, here we go. Next. All right, this comes.
Baby, I'm going to have nightmares now. How old is
You're going to love this youngin.
How old is
he? He's probably getting close. I guess he's heading towards 2.
Oh, that's not too bad. They're quite sweet at 2, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Has he done a lot? Has he done a long?
Or maybe he's going to be 1. Actually, he's 1 going into 2.
Gosh, that's even worse. Now we're going
back. Yeah, it's better.
Maybe if we get
listen to me, Cameron and Jalen and Heather and Tony. You listen to me. Elaine loves babies. She just doesn't want this baby all up in her business.
Oh my gosh, 15-hour flight, lugging cases here, there, and everywhere. And I'll be like this, and there'll be a little baby in the back, kicking the back of my seat. I'll be going like this.
No,
like on the plane.
No, there will be plenty. I'm getting one of those that I'm renting a large van where there's several seats.
Is it got one of those that they have, like, the screens that go up if sort of people?
I'm not renting a limousine. I'm not doing that. All right, moving on. All right, here we go. That's old school Baptist.
Really.
Yes.
I'm just saying, I find it very difficult to be in close proximity to a 2-year-old or a 1-year-old.
Yes.
So, yeah.
You're going to have to learn what it means.
Go a bit quiet. What it means. I love you all, though.
Yes. All right. So this comes from Full Metal Preterist. This is a first time he's quoted or commented. It's Bobby and Cheryl Huddle. They're out of Texas. I know them. They're so dear to me. I love them very much.
Hello, darlings.
And their mother-in-law, Patricia, she teaches like a Sunday school thing for them down there in Texas, and she's brilliant. And you'll get to meet her. She's at Arkansas. And you'll get to meet Bobby and Sherry Huddle too. All right. Hey, Rick and Elaine, I just love your studies on Job, but I have a question about soon. This had something to do with our previous talk somewhere, right?
Yeah, I know. I read that.
Wasn't most of the New Testament written between 55 and 66 AD? So soon was within that time frame. Yeah. This is in regard to my article. And then you and I did a recording, which has not even released yet, about not this, but other things, not just after the crucifixion 40 years later. Love you and Elaine's studies. There's so many questions and things y'all have brought to life about suffering and God revealing things to bring us to himself through our suffering. Y'all's insight has been amazing. I can't wait for your book on this podcast about Job.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful. Thank you for writing that. That means a lot. Thank you that you're on board here.
So here's what I'm going to do, Bobby. And Bobby and Sherry. Sorry, guys. My brain's not working this morning. I'm not going to answer that about the soon and the 55 to 66 AD because it has nothing to do with our Job. But we will tackle it later. All right. We talked about it later and it hasn't came out yet, but we did kind of get into this a little bit, but I'll talk to you guys about the late date versus the early date of a lot of these books. Because honestly, you can go either way. You can. Some people will say, well, if you go too late, then it screws up being a full preterist. Some people say if it's early, then it's perfect for it. None of this works, just so you know. Church history doesn't work with full preterism. Late date doesn't work with full preterism. Early date can work technically with full. Guys, I don't have time to get into this.
I think sometimes what we do is we get bogged down in, was it this, was it that, was it, instead of just reading the scriptures and saying, well, actually, what is it saying to me? What am I gleaning from it? Does it tell me that there's going to be something about me? Can I take this forward into my time or the future? Or do I have to read it? Like I say, you've only got to say, well, if I picked up this book and it said, I'm writing to the Galatians that Christ is coming soon. I'm thinking, well, I'm not a Galatian. And you've got to go with what is soon. I know that sometimes in prophecy, God might say soon, but he's talking in prophecy. Sometimes when he's given a prophecy, he says, like in Daniel, seal up the book. It's not for your time. So showing you that it is a later time, but you've got to take it in context. And for me, when I read the New Testament, I see that Christ has fulfilled all of the scriptures because I can read them. I then have to say to myself, well, everything must have been written before 70.
Yeah, and again, there's tons of arguments in scholarship about when and where and why and how and all this stuff. And so, although it's important to me and I do take it into consideration, um, I'm going to leave that discussion for a different time. Okay, and I will tackle that. And I will say thank you that you've been with us this whole time. I appreciate your comments. And yeah, our insights, I give all glory to God for these insights for both to me and to Elaine. And the things that I've learned through this, I'm just humbled by the fact that the Lord, the way that he does this with us and wants to be with us, right? This
And
last
again,
comment,
again, this
okay.
this book that we're doing, it's not sort of some sort of reference book that you can sort of go back to, oh, who said this and what quote was made here, or it literally is a discussion on the characters and their sort of unfolding during the whole 42 chapters. That's what it's about, really. And then applying what we're learning from what we're reading about the characters in there, and we're looking at ourselves.
Right.
That's
And
the
that's
whole
what
thing.
that's right. And that's what I said that was so shocking to me about this book. You and I have talked about this so many times behind the scenes, Elaine, is that I had no idea that this is what this book was about. I had this simplistic God is sovereign, get over it, and Job got double portion because he finally learned, it's like, man, it's so much bigger than that. It's so much bigger than that. And if I feel like when you dig into God's word, and don't let me forget, Elaine, that we're going to announce the next book at the end of this. We're going to announce it, what we're going to be doing next, which I'm super excited about.
And it's
But
something that really isn't done, is it? It's never really.
never seen it, and it's going to be a first here for me, so I'm super excited. Don't let me forget to say it at the end, Elaine. But here's our last comment, and we're going to get into this, and we're going to finish out this book. We're covering a lot today, but guys, you can read it for yourself, and you've been with us this whole time. You don't need me and Elaine to teach you anything. The Holy Spirit will teach you all that you need to know. You got to call on him and have a relationship with him. If you haven't learned that throughout this, you probably knew it before, but I'm just going to say it again. Unless you're going to him, this is meaningless to you.
Yeah, and not only going to him, Rick, you have to go to him in all honesty. You have to lay
All
bare
honesty.
everything. You have to show your ego, your jealousy, your envies, your unwillingness to forgive, and pour out that and say, why have I got this? Why don't I like people when they tell me something? Why? And really go to him and say, these are the flaws in me that I don't want.
Right.
And
be
that's
honest.
the whole thing.
Lay it bare.
It literally
Nothing is missing.
Exactly, and this is what we need to do. I used to find it when I started going to Bible studies. I used to say, well, look, sometimes I swear and I don't want to swear. I mean, I'm not doing it every day of my life, don't get me wrong. I might do it once every 8 months, every year or something, but I do. And then you'll be surprised how many people go, oh, actually I do sometimes. I thought I was the only one. But what I'm saying is, I'm not saying it's good to do that, but what I'm saying is confess your sins to one another so that we can be healed. And that's the point. If you hold on to it and you're frightened to tell somebody, this is what I am, it's like I've said before, I think, Rick, I used to say to my children, all the time you pretend to be strong, you will remain weak. But as soon as you air your weaknesses, then you become strong, because nobody can accuse you of anything, because you can say, yes, I know I am. And they've lost their argument straight away.
That's right.
I've aired it. I know what I am. And I think that's what we all need to do. And once the church becomes more honest with itself, instead of thinking, oh, if I air that to somebody, my halo might slip or my position in the church might fall and they won't think as much of me. Well, it doesn't matter. It's what God thinks of you that matters. That's what matters. I don't want to hide behind I want to wear the garb of a Christian, but underneath have the works of a flesh. I don't want that.
No,
I don't want that. And I think this is something that Job is sort of bringing out here, and he's taking it on board. He's taking it on the chin at the end, really. And
he really
out,
does.
Yeah.
Yep. And what you find out that he wasn't necessarily wrong, but he was certainly not right. So, all right, here's the last comment that we have today, Elaine. It's from Lori Stone. Hey, Lori.
Hi, Lori.
Glad to see you back.
Yeah.
Lots of love to you both. It has been a joy going through this study with you both. Looking forward to the finale, the book, and Q&A. Blessings. Well, here you are at the finale. So thank you for being along.
Started hardly yet.
We're getting ready to go.
Yeah. Job said this and God said that, and right, everybody, now you've got it.
Yeah, and so Elaine, let me ask you this question now. We
Go
can
on.
go ahead and bring up the Q&A. All I have to figure out is how I can do a live between us and then where people can send in their questions or watch or whatever, or we can just have a final talk, about it. Um, but this Thursday, um, at my, let's see, I need to talk to my wife, but I think I have this Thursday at 6 p.m. is when I'd like to do it. Now, I think you're five
At
hours
your
ahead of
time,
me.
6 p.m.
Yeah, which means it would be 11 p.m. or
No, midnight.
yeah, it's not going to work for you, is it?
Yeah, it will. I'll stop up.
Listen to that. You see how dedicated she is, guys?
Well,
But
I
the only
love
reason I
you.
say that is because the all of us, here have jobs and we have to work, and I would like them to be able to
Honestly,
engage.
that doesn't bother me at all. It's like Christ when they said, "Lord, you're tired." You said, "Well, I have work to do that you don't know anything about." So I'm
Right.
I'm gonna appeal to that. I'm gonna be
Well,
my
you're going to
halo.
be like the Lord Jesus. Look at that. You know what I want to say? What did you do to your arm? Did you cut yourself?
Oh, I burned it.
Oh my goodness. Were you
I know.
making a spot of tea?
No, no, I was popping some jacket potatoes in the oven, and unfortunately, I burnt my arm.
Oh my goodness. I'm sorry you burned it. All
Well, I
right,
mean, the
so
thing is, I'm a strong woman. No, actually, I'm a strong human being.
yes, you are. All right, so I'm going to open this study up by saying this. The opening thought of this entire book was, does Job fear God for nothing? That's the thing that really kicked me in the teeth at the very beginning because it's like, huh, like, does Job fear God for nothing? And he talks about how God just protects him and all this stuff, and then God just lets him do what he wants to with his servant,
So
Job.
basically, by proxy, God is doing it to him.
That's right. Now, funny
It's never
enough,
Satan doing it. It's only
no,
because God allows it. So once again, we can see there that God does allow things.
that's
It's
right.
down to God. Even though when everything happens that you think is bad, God's
Hmm.
hand is always over it.
Right. It's amazing. I want to point this out, guys, and I don't know why I didn't catch this because Job actually gets the answer to this question in
Hmm,
the end of this book. He
he
does.
does.
Okay. But have you ever, now that you've been going through it with us so long, have you noticed that whenever God says, have you considered my servant Job? Whenever Satan says, does Job fear God for nothing? He didn't talk about his wonderful relationship with him. He only
Like his
talked about
possessions, wasn't it,
he
really?
talked about
What
his
he had
possessions,
external.
what he had, and the protection in which he had. He didn't even talk about the relationship. And that's the thing that I think is so clear in humanity is that that's the difference, in my opinion. When I meet people who are true believers in Jesus Christ, you can tell that they know him. And
Mhm.
because I know him and they know him, and it's immediate. Like when I met Elaine, I was like, well, there's my sister.
Absolutely,
I
yeah.
knew it. I knew
Yeah.
it when I saw,
Same
we
with
were
me.
talking and I was like, there you are. You're my
Yeah.
sister. I know it because we know him. But see, the enemy of God, the Satan of God, the Pharisees of God, the Sadducees of God, the scribes of God, all of these people that claim to be with God, if they don't have that relationship, then all of it is for nothing.
Hmm.
All of it is, and it follows exactly what saying, does Job fear God for nothing? So like we talked about in the past, the Pharisee walks into the temple, the sinner walks into the tax collector walks in
Yeah.
there, and he beats on his chest, God have mercy upon me, a sinner. And the other one's like, look at me, I've given all my mint, dill, and cumin, and I'm glad I'm not like that sinner over there. Like that, there's a definite difference between someone who relates to God and understanding who they are honestly versus
I,
somebody who is representing God and doesn't.
well, he's got all the clothes on that looks like it, but underneath, you by their actions and fruits, you can say that they're actually not that at all. That's how you. Again, it's a bit like. I mean, again, when he says, you "Get away from me, you workers of iniquity, of lawlessness, of sin. Get away! I never knew you." What he's
Yeah,
saying there was, even when they appealed to him, well, didn't I do that? Didn't I do that? He says, "I never knew." Right, even from the beginning, you were never mine. You were
that's
never
right.
mine.
And I
I
like how
never
you
knew.
put that. Our Savior Jesus Christ was stripped down to nakedness, and he was then had that one cloak put on him and then nailed to a cross. But and he despised the shame. The Scripture says he despised the shame of it. But he was taken down to the lowest of the low, but he wanted to do what his Father in heaven commanded him. That's what mattered the most. And he had a relationship. Father, glorify your Son as I had with you in the beginning. And how did he do it? Through the cross. So it's like this is the ultimate view of relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why the Satan character represents really the way that this world thinks, which is stuff and the fallacy of the way we project ourselves to the outside world. It's like you said earlier, Elaine, like the minute you tell somebody, I am weak, then that's when you really get to the meat of life. Whereas if
Well,
you,
nobody can bring it. No, nobody can bring an accusation against you then, because you've already
right.
aired it.
Yeah, and
You
there's a
know,
lot of
it's
times like parents will do this for the children. Like we want to protect our children, right? Because they're small and they don't understand adult things. But a lot of times, like we don't show emotion. We want to be strong for them. We want to show that. And I think that sometimes I think that's a mistake. I think that
it
you should be able to
is.
relate with your children and cry sometimes and be like,
It
my
is.
heart hurts. This is what
Yeah.
it feels like when we're in pain. But I still go to my Heavenly Father, and I want you to know that. That's what I do. How we pass these things on. So being honest, but
But again, it's like we were just saying about 5 minutes ago. The fact is that, even in church, people are, when I speak about church, I'm talking about the community of Christ, us as his children. Um, you know, is there this idea that you don't want to show who you are really? Because there's this idea that if people really know what you are, that you're
mhm,
going to go down in their estimations. But it's
right.
only then that you can. It's only by airing and exposing things that you can ever heal. Like it says, express your sins to one another so that you may be healed. He's not
Mhm,
saying hide them so you can be healed. We've got to tell everybody. Those
right.
that we can trust. And again, in that telling, you'll be surprised at how many people say that they do the same thing, feel the same thing, think the same thing. And there's comfort in that. And I know it sounds weird to say, oh, I'm comforted by the fact that you sin, but there is.
Mhm.
Otherwise, sometimes, you might get to the stage where you think, well, there's no one as bad a sinner as me because you're the one that knows exactly what you do 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
But when you express it and other
Mhm.
people say, I do the same, in that there's a healing going on. You're healing one
Yes.
another just by A, exposing it, and B, hearing that other people suffer from the same things. And together you can collectively go forward and mature in Christ. You've got to
Yes.
air it, air
That's
it.
good. Amen. Amen. All right. Well, let's get into the meat of this.
Yeah.
Elaine, I won't make you read the entire last 5 chapters of this book. I will read some too, but I'm
Yes,
going to ask
please.
you to get into Job chapter 38. So the whirlwind is coming and it has now arrived. And Job, and we read a little bit, of how it started in our last episode, but we're going to read that again. And I want you to think about how he's been sitting in his dust and ashes, all of the complaints. He wants an advocate, a mediator. He wants to stand in the courtroom. He wants his day in court. He wants to be able to ask questions of the Almighty. This is what he's been asking for. His 3 friends have said all kinds of things. You've committed adultery. You're wicked. You've stolen, taken the spoils. Elihu comes in and says, you haven't justified God. You've only justified yourself in this matter. All of this is happening. And here he is. And God shows up. And that is
Absolutely. Yeah.
big. So big. Job
That is
chapter 38.
right. Then Adonai answered Job out of the storm. Who is this darkening my plans with his ignorant words? Stand up like a man and brace yourself. I will ask questions and you give the answers. Where were you when I founded the earth? Tell me if you know so much. Do you know who determined its dimensions or who stretched the measuring line across it? On what were its bases sunk or who laid its cornerstone? When the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy? Who shut up the sea behind closed doors when it gushed forth from the womb? When I made the clouds its blanket and dense fog its swaddling cloth? When I made the breakers its boundary, set its gates and bars, and said, you may come this far, but no farther. Here your proud ways must stop. Have you ever in your life called up the dawn and made the morning know its place, so that it could take hold of the edges of the earth and shake the wicked out of it? Then the earth is changed like clay under a seal until its colors are fixed like those of a garment. But from the wicked the light is withheld, and the arm raised to strike is broken. Have you gone down to the springs of the sea or explored the limits of the deep? Have the gates of death been revealed to you? The gates of death like darkness? Have you surveyed the full extent of the earth? Say so, if you know it all. Which way leads to where light has its home? And darkness, where does it dwell? If you knew, you could take each to its place and set it on its homeward path. You know, of course, because you were born then. By now, you must be very old. Have you gone into the storehouses for snow, or seen the storehouses for hail, for which I have saved for the times of trouble, for days of battle and war? By what path is light dispersed, or the east wind poured out on the land? Who cut a channel for the downpours, or a way for the lightning and the thunder, causing it to rain where no one is, in a desert without anyone there, drenching the wastes and the desolate ground to the tender grass sprouts? Does the rain have a father? Who is the father of dewdrops? From whose womb does ice come? Who gives birth to the frost of heaven, when water becomes as hard as stone and the surface of the deep freezes solid? Can you tie up the clouds of cords of Pleiades, or loosen the belt of Orion? Can you lead out of the constellations of the zodiac in their season, or guide the great bear and its cubs? Do you know the laws of the sky? Can you determine how they affect the earth? Can you raise your voice to the clouds and make them cover you with a flood of rain? Can you send lightning bolts on their way? Will they say to you, here we are? Who put wisdom in people's inner parts? Who gave wisdom and understanding to the mind? Who by wisdom can number the clouds? Who can tilt the water skins of heaven so that the dust becomes a mass of mud and its clogs stick together? Can you hunt prey for a lioness, or satisfy the appetite of the young lions when they crouch in their dens or lie in ambush in their lairs? Who provides food for the raven when his young cry out to God and wander about for lack of food? Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, it was wonderful. And
Yeah.
so that's a lot. And if we go verse by verse, we'll be here for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
But I remember the first time I ever read the book of Job, I thought, what kind of answer is this? Like, this doesn't make any sense to me at all. And that's because I'm a selfish human being. And because I think of myself higher than God sometimes. That's what I do as a human. It's so silliness, but it's what humans do. Humans be doing what humans do, right?
Yeah.
So God breaks out, first of all, who is this? This question that God asks is something that Job's going to repeat in the last chapter of this book. Who is this that darkens the counsel, right? Like, let me go back to that verse again. So Job, he says, who is this that darkens counsel by words without knowledge? Now,
I've met a lot of people like that.
Yeah, well, I'm one of them. I am. I'm not lying. I've been like that.
Mm.
But the thing is, like, God is really letting Job number one. He's like, first of all, stand up and get ready. Gird your loins. Get ready. I'm going to show you something as a man. And so that image that I made.
I like the way it says, brace yourself.
Yes. Well, because, and the fact is, he's not sitting down in the dust anymore. I believe God's made him stand. Now you want your courtroom, you're in the courtroom. And here's the whirlwind, right? Here it comes. So as he's standing there, God begins like, who is this that darkens counsel by words without knowledge? So in other words, you're getting ready to talk to somebody where you don't know. There are things that you don't know. And I am way above this. Like, I mean,
he's way above it is doing him a disservice.
It's not, yeah, even saying it that way is that you want to be able to question me. Do you even know? You don't know anything.
No.
But what's amazing is that God actually does. And that's what I want to point out, like with grace and love and care. Like, a loving father will do this. Even though he's the master of the universe, he also wants to be the master of your heart.
Absolutely.
And so he shows up, but he also wants to make it clear. When you come to me, you approach me as who I am. You don't just call on me and now I'm going to come and do. But see, Jesus will later say, anything that you ask in my name, the Father will do. The reason why is because the heart posture is what actually matters, okay? Job was coming at him with this different kind of heart, I demand satisfaction, sir. I demand to know why I've been put through this.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not how it should be at all. Jesus doesn't demand anything of the Father. He just
I suppose the thing is, first of all, before you can do that, Rick, you've got to have an understanding of who God is. And I think without that understanding of who God is, you can't approach him. You know, like we said before about the Pharisee and the sinner. One's looking downwards, beating his chest, and the other one's looking upwards and thinking, "Wow, you know, I'm so wonderful and amazing." But you have to have that kind of posture, and it's those people that have that kind of posture that really understand who God is. And I
Mhm.
tell you what, and a lot of the time you understand more who God is by trials, tribulations, things that have gone wrong in your life. If you have a charmed life, you haven't learned much at all, really.
Mhm.
And that's the thing I think
Mhm.
with this is what God is teaching every single one of us. That you know, a charmed life isn't going to be. I mean, Job had everything. They said you had everything. You know, Satan said you got everything, and no wonder it's all tickety boo, hunky dory, and nothing. Take it away from him. Now bring a bit of hardship. Let's have a little look at what his character will do now,
Mhm.
because you never experienced that before. You blessed everything, everything. The work of his hands, you've done everything. But here
Mhm.
we have somebody that is learning something through trial. And that's why Paul says, consider it all joy when you go through various trials.
Right.
It produces something. And
Mhm.
that's the point. You know, it produces patience, it produces long suffering, it produces a trust in God, it produces an awareness that this isn't all there is. This is, we have to come here to get where our reality is supposed to be, where we were before we were even born. We
Right.
have to come
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. I mean,
This means nothing really. I mean, it does obviously, but what I'm
yes.
saying is ultimately we have
Mhm.
to be born here, to be born from above, to be able to go on to this heavenly Jerusalem, this new Jerusalem.
Right.
That's the whole point. That's the whole
I
point.
agree. I agree. I've had people say this is the testing ground, the proving ground, whatever you want to call it. This is, in my opinion, this is where you wrestle with good and evil and you come to know God and then understand what it means to be in relationship with him in order to be in the place where he's at. All right. So in Job
Can you
chapter
hang on
38,
a minute? My dog's wanting to get in. He's scratching the door.
abs absolutely. You go right ahead, Elaine. Um, I had I actually took advantage of the fact when she's reading when she reads the Bible, the screen comes up to just her. So I actually
Oh
no, whenever
no,
it only comes up to you. And
no,
what's really funny,
no,
Elaine, I don't even know if you
gosh.
noticed this, but I actually I had a pee break while you were reading. So I don't have to pee on it, so we can go on for hours. Okay, so all right, so in Job chapter 38, verse 4 through 7, okay, I remember I paused a lot on this particular place. He says, when the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy. Let's go back to those verses. So 4 through 7, he says, where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Tell me if you have understanding. Who determined its measurements? Surely you know. Or who stretched the line upon it? On what were its bases sunk? Or who laid its cornerstone? When the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy. Now, think about chapter 1. Think about chapter 1 and chapter 2. Remember, the sons of God were the ones who were in the heavenly throne room. Now, when he says, who are you? I've had some people try to tell me that God's talking about laying his cosmic temple. He's not talking about a globe and things like that. Let's not miss the point here. You can say he's laying the foundation of a temple, but I also think it's important that he brings about the cornerstone because
um,
those of us who are Christians know who that is.
Amen. That's correct.
So he's saying from the very beginning, how many times have we said this, Elaine? From the very beginning, before the foundations of the world, there was a cornerstone that was going to
Amen.
be placed. And it is
That,
Christ. It's Christ, okay?
that's right. That's right. And again,
So,
going back
yeah.
to, you know, the first verse of chapter 1, it says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. But in between, in the beginning, and God created the heavens and the earth, there's two letters, and they don't ever translate them because they're untranslatable.
Uh-huh.
And they are the Aleph and the Tav. Now, if you go back to the pictograph, the Aleph and the Tav, it always represented strength or power. And also the Tav represented a mark or a cross.
Mm-hmm.
So if you actually go back to Christ being that cornerstone of the heavens and the earth, breathing it into a being, it says, in the beginning, the power of the cross created the heavens and the earth.
Isn't that a beautiful thing? Elaine was
Isn't
telling
that
me this
amazing?
yesterday. We've talked about it before, but yeah, it's just a
Yes.
beautiful thing.
Again and again, all the way back there. Unless you know what these two letters mean, you're not going to get it. And he is the Word made flesh. He is the Word placed inside this garment of flesh, if you like, become one of us. So the Word back there was made flesh. And if you think about it, the Word, everything we read, it's a letter that forms a word, and a word forms a sentence, and a sentence forms a thought. Well, no one's able to sing the song of redemption except Christians, because they're the only ones that put these letters and words and sentences together to show the gospel. So
That's right.
Therefore, it's living within us. We are that light that shines. The gospel is within people's midst, because we are there, and it's not only within us, it's without us. And we're the only ones that ever say, yes, it's the Aleph and the Tav, right the way back there, this cornerstone. He was already laid.
And the thing is, it's in the spiritual realm. We know chapter 1 and chapter 2 are in the spiritual realm. So Elaine has said many times on a lot of our talks, it's the spiritual, physical, spiritual, physical, spiritual. So Christ will be born in the flesh. Christ will be that rejected cornerstone. And then we are born in the flesh, and we are building as a temple, but it is all about him and being in the spirit. So the morning star is saying, this is where I believe in the divine counsel, but I don't get into all the depth of it because I don't need to. It's pointing to the fact, he's saying, where were you when I started all of this, Job? I started all of this. Okay. Now, if he's thinking purely in the physical realm, and he was like, the heavenly beings saw him make the earth and all these things, that's okay. He can think that way. He can even think that the earth is flat or it's square and that there's pillars sunk or whatever. He can think it doesn't matter. The point that matters is that God is the one who did it. And he's been wanting this moment with this God to talk to. And remember, he was offering sacrifices on behalf of his children, just in case their heart wasn't right with this. God's here now. And he's like, where were you? So you want to come to me. You darken my counsel with these words without knowledge. Now, where were you?
Absolutely. Exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing. And he does approach him, and it's a question all the time. He's questioning him. And again, imagine if we were saying this is, why have you allowed this, God? Why have you? I've done this, I've done. And then God turns up and it actually says, sit down, darling. I want to ask you, you're darkening my counsel because you really have no idea, because you're speaking darkness here, because I'm light. So you really need to sit down and find out. And I'm going to enlighten you here. I'm going to bring about some light on the subject.
That's good. Dark and light. That's good.
Yeah. Then he starts to question him. Right, where were you when this happened? And I love the way he says, when it says there about, does the rain have a father? Who is the father of the dewdrops? From whose womb does ice come from? Who gives birth to them? I love the way that God who gives birth? From what womb does it come? Who's the father? And again, it conjures up these things that you can relate to in the flesh. This birthing. Well, to have a birth, there must have been sort of something that placed that what you're going to give birth to, or you're going to give birth to. Well, who placed that there? It's going back further and further and further, and it's basically saying to him, look, he's a father that's saying, look, darling, you got it all wrong here. You've got it all wrong here. I mean, again, if he was a wicked, evil, just God, he could have turned around and said, well, my justice says you've really sort of like dissed me a lot here, Job. I'm just going to go and squish you.
And that's what Job 38 is all about.
That was a very technical, that's a very technical term, that.
It is. Spell that. So Job, I mean, we could go verse by verse, but I don't think I need to. I think you guys understand what God is doing right here. He's saying, like, can you string the bows of Orion? Can you stretch out Pleiades across the sky? Can you make it rain? Can you make it snow? Who opens the womb of the snow? Like, can you do any of these things? Like, okay, you've came in here and I've given you my attention. Are you sure you want it? Because I don't think you know who you're dealing with. And no, so that's, and
I agree with you, Rick. I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, it's okay. I'm used to it.
Oh, bless you. Well, so am I. Part 15 all.
I'm just playing with you.
Well, I wasn't.
That's good. Rick, I love you dearly.
We got to stay honest.
We do. We got to be honest with each other too.
I'm only playing with you.
But again, I know, me too.
It's again bringing it down to us today. It's times when we are suffering and we go through that, we really have to sit there and say, where were you when I made this? What were you when I did this? I mean, we got to remember that all of these things that God is talking about, they're just a minimal part of what he is and does. He has to orchestrate everything. He's the creator. Before him, there was nothing. He brought everything out of nothingness, out of who
Right.
he is. And
That's
so
right.
when he says about, he's having to control everything, every single person, every single action, reaction, and at the end of the day, we get so concerned over the fact that why has God allowed this? And again, and I mean, like you said earlier on, we all do it. I do it sometimes. I think, what have I done? What have I done to deserve this? You say
Right.
I've got to learn patience. I mean, how long is this going to go on for? And
Hmm.
like Paul, he says, well, my grace is sufficient enough for you. And you just think,
Yes.
okay, Lord,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, I'll just swallow that one then and just, endure it. But yes, it is at times like this, when things are so bad, that is when God draws your attention to it. And I think
Mm.
this is good. Anyone that's going through really bad times, read starting at 38 and says, right now, God, I'm going to ask you, and then read
Yes.
that, and just recognize that actually, that there is a reason to all of this, and I really believe that through our suffering, we are a benefit to other people. We are being honed and shaped by God, and we are being brought forth to maturity. And without suffering, I don't think you can ever learn that. And in fact, the more you suffer, I think the more compassionate, kind, understanding, desirous to help, to reach out people become. No
Hmm.
suffering, selfish.
That's right. That's exactly right. And something else too. I don't want anybody to miss this. When he's telling Job this, he's explaining to him, like, right now we're up in the heavenly realms, up in the universal realms, up in the sky cloud realms, right, and where the rain and all these things are. And that's something I want to point out to people when you start getting into ancient cosmology. These people had a view of the world, and they believed that God was in the clouds or whatever. Okay, but there's more to it than just that.
Mm,
When we're in our future modern world and we look at we have satellites up in the sky or whatever we're doing, how do we see weather or whatever it is that we do? Don't miss this, please. Don't miss this. It's not about flat Earth or globe. It's not about um, cloud seeding and who manipulates the weather. It's about who made it all to begin with. Who is the
mm,
originator, the creator of all of these things? He,
mm,
no matter where you fall in the story, no matter where our brains are, we might find out 500 years from now, our species might still be around and they might be traveling to outside of this dome, perhaps. And some people were like, no, it's not possible, whatever. Guys, I don't know. I've never been to outer space. I've never been on a rocket ship. I don't know anything. All I know is my own perspective. But what I do know is that that same God that made all those things pierced my heart. And I know him, right?
mm,
And
mm,
so because I have that, when I look at the weather, I know that he's in control. When I
mhm,
look at situations, I know he's in control. And I think that's what I want everybody to take away from this is to always remember no matter where you are,
mhm,
he's there. He's there. He's whether it's by his ruling that he did it or he's with you going through you with it.
mhm,
That's why Jesus said, "Take my yoke upon you."
mhm.
Because my burden is easy. When you look at what he went through, that burden doesn't look easy at all to me. And I
No.
and it and he went through it hard, but his burden is easy because of his love for the Father. When you love the Father, the burden is easy. It's different. You encounter it different, right? So Job right now in this argument, not argument, but in this state, God's like, where were you when I did all of this out here? Well,
Mm.
now he's going to hone in. He's going to take you into the everyday life that's around him that he can observe. He can't observe Pleiades. He doesn't
Uh,
know where those bars
no.
are that hold up the ice, right? He
Yeah.
doesn't know what that stuff is.
No.
Now he's going to let him see things that he can actually see.
Exactly. And again, all of this has an impact on the internal. He's talking about external things, but it makes you think internally about, why did I reason like that? Why didn't
Right.
I see that picture myself? Why didn't
Yeah.
I say to myself, who made this and who made that and who did this and who did that? I know that God is just. So there must be something else happening here that I'm not particularly aware of.
Right.
And I think this is the thing that we, again, taking it back to ourselves, that we really need to see. Or everything happens externally to us, Rick, but it has an internal impact.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
God is asking us to adjust our internal impact to the external things that impact us. And I
Amen.
think
That's good. Yeah, that's good.
exactly, and that's the
Hmm.
thing. You can either react one way or you can react another way. God is asking you to react the way that relies and trusts on Him. It has a purpose. There is an ending to this. And not only that, while you're here, He wants you to bless people. You know, the only way you can bless people is if you've really understood what suffering is, what you've
Right.
understood what suffering is. And
That's
again,
it.
you think about more the people that have undergone really harsh conditions are the most kind, compassionate, patient, non what's the word, non-judgmental
Yeah.
people. They'll listen and they'll give good counsel. They'll use their ears and their mouth in the degrees that they've been given. Listen twice and speak once, sort of thing. Yeah, and I think that that's the thing here that we're learning, that God is pointing out that. And again, the same for us. And I'm not saying it's easy. We sit here, Rick, we say these things, and yet, it's a bit like Paul when he says, it's like a man who looks at himself in the mirror. He sees exactly who he is, and then he goes away and forgets who he is. The
Yeah. I
neat
think
trick
that's in the book
is
of James, actually.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, James, sorry.
No,
And
you're good.
it, but the point being is that it's holding on to all the things that we're speaking about now, and we're realizing, yeah, we're saying, yeah, that's right, that's right. But the neat trick is to hold on to it when something does come up, when we're not talking about it, when it's not at the forefront. That's the time to
Hmm.
do it,
Yeah.
and it's to have that at the forefront of your mind all the time. Just go back to, just say to yourself, remember Job. Not the suffering of Job, but what impact going through this had on us regards Job. External, what's it telling me internally, how I should react? And I
Hmm.
think that's the thing, that's the one thing that I do now. I think, well, hang on a
Yeah.
minute.
And right.
Job,
And don't be
Job.
surprised if your friends don't understand what you're going through either. Don't be surprised by that. Don't be surprised if some of them shy away from you. I had many people that just went away. I had some that really dug in deep and stayed with me. And I had some that accused me of things, like I had done something wrong. Like all of those things that the friends said, I've heard it through my own life, and just so don't be surprised. But
Mm.
if you learn anything from me, if you hear anything from me, just remember, cling to him, because he's the one that's putting you through it, and he's also the one that's near you when he does it. Okay. Um,
Exactly. And that's the whole thing. It, God doesn't stop things happening, but what He does, He says, "I'll be there through it."
mhm.
And that's the thing. Otherwise, everybody would be a Christian. If you had lived a charmed life and you just sort of like had God on the end of your keyring as rabbit's foot or a genie in a bottle, and you just rubbed it and said, "Right, what I want you to do now is this." It doesn't work like that. God says,
No.
"This is what I want you to go through trials, but I am with you through it. I am
Hmm.
with you through the trial. I will
Right.
support you. I will teach you. I will ask you what you're learning. I will give you the patience that, so as more trials come along, it's going to refine and hone you. I mean, you look at all the Hebrews 11 talks about all those people, of faith. And it says the world wasn't worthy of them. Why? Because they
Yeah.
were all rejected. Nobody
Yes.
wanted to know them. Their lives were filled with trauma,
Mhm.
but
That's
they never
right.
gave
It's
up
true.
right to the end.
Yeah, and the
Stayed
world was not
faithful.
worthy. That's exactly right.
That's it. Yeah.
All right,
So
so where we are here in chapter 38, he just was talking about what I like to say the universal things. Now we're going to get into the personal things, like things that he could observe in his life, but not necessarily know about. So, and I'll read it. I'll read this chapter, Elaine.
yeah, excellent.
Do you know when mountain goats give birth? Have you seen deer in labor? Can you tell how many months they carry their young? Do you know when they give birth, when they crouch down and bring forth their young, when they deliver their fawns? Their young become strong, growing up in the open. They leave and never return.
Mm.
Who lets the wild donkey roam freely? Who sets the wild donkey loose from its shackles? I made the Arabah its home, the salty desert its place to live. Notice what he said. I made it. Okay. It scorns the noise of the city and hears no driver's shouts. It ranges over the hills for its pasture, searching for anything green. Would a wild ox be willing to serve you? Would it stay by your stall? Could you tie a rope around its neck and make it plow furrows for you? Would you trust its great strength enough to let it do your heavy work? Or rely on it to bring home your seed and gather the grain from your threshing floor? An ostrich's wings beat wildly, although its pinions lack plumage. It leaves its eggs on the ground and lets them be warmed by the sand, forgetting that a foot may crush them or a wild animal trample on them. It treats its chicks heartlessly, as if they were not its own, even if her labor is in vain. It really doesn't care, because God has deprived it of wisdom and given it no share in understanding.
Mm.
Wow. When the time comes, it flaps its wings, scorning both horse and rider. Did you give the horse its strength? Did you clothe its neck with a mane? Did you make him able to leap like a locust? Its majestic snorting is frightening. Its paws with force and exults with vigor, then charges into the battle, mocking it at fear. Unafraid, it does not shy away from the sword. The rider's quiver rattles over it, gleaming, his gleaming spear and javelin. Frenzied and eager, it devours the ground, scarcely believing the shofar has sounded. At the sound of the shofar, it whinnies. As far as from afar, it scents the battle, scents as in the smell.
Yeah,
The
smells.
roar of the chiefs and the shouting. Is it your wisdom that sets the hawk soaring, spreading its wings toward the south? Does the eagle fly up when you say so, to build its nest in the heights? It lives and spends its nights on the cliffs. A rocky crag is its fortress. From there it spots its prey. Its eyes see it afar off. Its young ones suck up blood wherever the slain are. There it is. Guys, he doesn't even understand the wild animals, is what he's saying. He's like, look, where were you when I stretched Pleiades, or whenever the morning stars sang and the sons of God danced for joy when I made all this stuff and sunk this in the earth, made all these things. You don't even know where a deer has its children. You
No.
don't, you don't, when you look at an ostrich and you think that it's folly, I made it
Yeah.
for a purpose. Can you be like the hawk? Do you even know what, like, the fact is, Job doesn't know diddly squat. And
No, he
that's the
doesn't.
point that God's making. Like, you've darkened the counsel. Here I am. Let's talk about what you actually do know. Let's do
Yeah.
that. And so I want to ask you guys, as listeners of us, I want you to understand that that's where I came,
Hmm.
because I was like, God, why are you doing this to me?
That's and I think we've all done that, Rick.
Oh yeah, but you know what? I'm glad he did. I'm glad he did, because he showed me things about the ostrich. He showed me that things that don't make sense are actually part of what he's doing.
Hmm.
And I'm like, oh, even when things seem wild and you're like, well, when he talks about the wild donkey, right? The wild donkey's out there. You're never going to climb on that thing, put a saddle on it and throw some reins on it and leave. It's never going to happen.
Hmm.
He's a wild dog. You're never going to tame it. God
Hmm.
made that. God made the thing that cannot be tamed. God made the thing that forgets its own eggs and walks off and leaves it. But yet he sits there and he shakes his feathers, even though he has no plumage. That
Hmm.
God's telling him, like, he acts like a bird, but he's not. He doesn't have all the things of it. Like, it's the craziest looking creature. And
And
it's heartless with its young. Do
yeah,
you think when you see a mother out there who is heartless with its young, do you think that's out of God's control? Guys, when you're watching somebody who's on drugs and you see things that are going awry, do you think that's out of God's control?
mm,
You think it's just the devil doing it? Here's my point. A lot of times we like to give the devil or the Satan character a lot of, ground in these kind of
credibility.
things. Wrong, wrong answer. Satan is used to point out things so God can bring the fruition. He lets him squeeze it to get the oil. As Elaine always brilliantly says, the press of the oil, the press of the oil.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't want to get too far off topic here, but I just want to say, when God is telling Job, you don't know any of this, and you don't even know the things around you that you can see.
Mm.
But also, what you don't realize is that even those things that seem whacked out and a little off to you, there I am. In other
Absolutely.
words, there are things going on as Leonard Skinner said, there's things going on that you don't know. I love that song. The Mississippi
Never heard
Song.
it.
No, I don't remember what it's called. Oh, of course, it's Southern rock. When you come here, I'll play some for you. You need to hear it there,
Absolutely.
Elaine. It's
Like,
Southern. It's delicious. It's wonderful.
I like Southern. Can I eat
It's
some fried chicken at the same time?
I'll make you for fried chicken and taters.
I
Don't
like
you
fried
worry.
chicken. I like
As a
fried
matter of fact,
chicken.
what you need to do is go down to Pastor Allen's church on a Sunday when they serve a meal. They have this barbecue down there. It's so good.
Well,
I'd smack
oh,
my own
also,
mama.
well, they go, well, don't they?
Well,
You know,
well,
well, I'm going to have to try that because I think I
they
will
have.
like it.
I love going down there when they're having food. Hey guys,
Well,
don't forget about
exactly.
us. We're gonna have a little meal down there in Canapolis. If people know how to
Exactly.
cook down there, I mean, it's good. Anyway, all right. So
No,
we've
I was
gone.
just thinking as well, when it
Yeah.
talks about the wild, it talks about I mean, I'm going really sort of like on a limb here.
Okay.
What sort of gets to me is when he talks about the eagle. It says, "Does the
Okay.
eagle fly up when you say so to build its nest in the heights? It lives and spends its nights on the cliffs. A rocky crag is its fortress. From there it spots its prey. Its eyes see it afar off. Its young ones suck up blood. Wherever the slain are, there it is. Or
Mm-hmm.
wherever the carcasses gather together, there the eagles will be."
Yeah. Sounds like Jesus, huh?
It sounds like
Yeah.
Jesus
He
talking
says it.
about the Romans.
He
Again,
does.
I mean, I
Where
haven't
the
looked into
eagles, where the vultures
it.
are, or where the dead
Yeah,
lay, the vultures will gather. Yep.
exactly, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. I'm wondering whether there's a bit of a connection here. I haven't really gone into it, but I'm wondering whether, because he talks about the wild ox, the ostrich that beats its wings wildly. It's like thick and stupid. It's very big,
It
but it does
absolutely has something
wonderfully
to do with
stupid things.
this.
Huh?
It absolutely has something to do with this, and I did look into it. And the fact is, it does, Elaine. Because here's what's going on: when we talk about the wild animals, a lot of times we see those as Gentile nations or whatever's going on,
Yeah,
right? Well, obviously, the ensigns of the Roman army were the eagle.
absolute
They
eagles.
surrounded the city. We know
Yeah,
this,
they
right?
did.
So
Yeah.
where the dead lay, the eagles will gather. And Jesus is saying,
Well,
so yeah,
Jesus said,
absolutely,
wherever, because they said, take and wear, Lord. And he didn't give a thing. He just said, wherever the carcass is, there the
right.
eagles will be gathered together.
Yeah, keep in mind when you're in the book of Daniel, guys, he uses the creatures. He talks about statues and
Yes.
stuff, but he also uses creatures. And he shows that these nations, which have a creature head, whether it's a bear or it's a goat or a
Leopard
ram, that
or, yeah,
right? Right. So
ram.
like he uses those things. Again, they are under God's control.
They are.
God's the one that's behind the narrative. God's the one that's carrying his people through all of those nations, by the way,
Exactly. The
to
only
bring
thing
the
is,
Christ into the world.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. The only thing is, I've not looked up why he would call a wild ox or an ostrich or a horse or a hawk or an eagle. I've not really gone in deeply into why that he would maybe call certain people, certain nations, those maybe with false gods. Again, I've not really gone into it, but there's definitely something here that is telling you something far deeper. It's telling you something spiritual, not just about the physical. There's
No,
something going on here.
definitely. Well, definitely, I think that if we look at it, like I said about the ostrich. All right, read verse 17 and 39. This is exactly what it is. Listen to what I want you to notice how God speaks about himself in the third person here. Verse 17 in chapter 39.
Oh, was that me? 17 and 18?
Yeah, would you read that?
Yeah, 17. Because God has deprived it of wisdom and given it no share in understanding. When the time comes, it flaps its wings, scorning both horse and rider.
Okay, so he speaks about himself in the third person because up before then he's been like an I and I and I, but here he suddenly shifts it and he's like, because God has made her forget wisdom.
Sorry?
She's because God has made her forget wisdom. God is saying it's kind of like, you know how in the scriptures whenever Paul says a man is given a measure of faith, not all of us are given the same measure. Paul will
Yeah.
tell you, like, be careful for your weaker brother. If you're
Yeah.
eating meat sacrificed unto idols, he's like, I don't care because
Yeah.
they're false anyway. I don't care. I can eat it. But if it's going to hurt my brother, I'm not going to do it. Everybody has
Exactly.
this measure, right? And so he's
Yeah.
saying here, like the ostrich here's your spiritual understanding, is that there are certain levels of things that I give for a purpose because I'm the one moving the story and the narrative forward. And so we have to remember, like, remember this book has been arguing about where is wisdom, right? It's been arguing about it all the time, and God's telling you, oh, I've got it, and I'm the one that gives it measure. That's an important factor in this book too. That's
It
why I
is.
always try to point out, like when I see when at the very beginning of the story, Alan asked the question, Pastor Alan Thompson asked the question about, do you believe that God's in charge of the weather still, or do you think that now that we're farther advanced? And I said, yes, I believe he's in charge of the weather. Like I believe God's in charge of every atom in all of the universe. I think he is aware of it all. That's what I think. He's immense, and anything that looks crazy out there is not crazy to him.
No, I think again, it's all in the plan, isn't it?
Yes, it's all, everything is moving forward in his progression, the way
Mm,
that God sees it to progress. And that is an eternal thing.
mm,
That is something that never ends. It's who
yeah,
God is, right?
yeah.
All right.
Again,
So,
I'm just like
but she
reading. Just
thrives. This remember, this ostrich thrives exactly as God has intended, even though what she does is bizarre. And then he talks about this, the war horse, scent, the smell of battle, and what's amazing about this war horse. So, in one way, God makes the wild donkey that you can never tame, but he also has this amazing creature that's fully tamed that smells battle and wants to fight with you. So God has like all of these things. He's showing you different aspects of his own character in the things that he made.
mm,
See, if you really want to know God, then you need to know that side about him too. I think I said this in our Job study somewhere along the way. I said, I think one of the mistakes that I made as a parent is that I tried to teach my kids fairness and rather than unfairness. And I know that sounds weird, okay?
no,
But we had when I was growing up, I had a grandmother who would always whisper in my ear, "You're my favorite."
but she did to everybody else, I bet.
Oh, absolutely. She did. And I
Same.
hope my kids, if you ever watch this, I want you to know that's why I do it. I've been doing it to all my kids
Yeah,
too.
same as me.
I'll tell you, I'll whisper and I'll say you're my favorite. And they'll say, "Nuh-uh, uh-uh."
No.
Samantha, my oldest stepdaughter was I've always said she's the favorite. Okay, I've always, and then I brought it out into the open for everybody, and I'm like, Samantha's the favorite, and they're all like mad at me and everything. But the reason I started doing it is because I realized that when we teach our kids about fairness, whenever unfairness hits them, they feel like they've been dissed by God, and that's not true. Sometimes things come in life because God wants us to have that. And when I say sometimes, I mean all of it, all the
All of it.
time. All of it is
Exactly.
happening. So whenever these things hit me, and we were asking the question like, God, why did you take Brianna?
Yeah.
God, why did you take my Aunt Sherry? Like those, like, why now? Like, why did you take her at this amazing time of her life at 17, and then another woman that spent her entire life, just wasting it? Like, what's happening? Like, but I stopped asking that question now. God's taught me to stop asking that question.
Well, the thing is, it's a never-ending circle. It just boils down to trust that God. If you really believe that God is who He is, then you are just going to accept that He knows exactly what He's doing.
Yeah, and guys, I'm not like the ostrich burying my head in the sand. I'm accepting it. I'm looking around and I'm like, oh, you know what? And that's one of the beautiful things about this life is that you can look around at everything now, if you will, if you'll stop and just take a look around and realize God did it all. He really did,
Absolutely.
and He's there with you right now. If you want it to be with Him, you can be.
Yeah.
And the gospel is that God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that anyone that believeth in him should not perish but have eternal life. And
Amen.
that is the gospel. And I believe that it's to all men. And some people will be like, no, it's the Calvinist way. Well, I believe in Calvinism too, but I think it has a purpose and a time frame. But I think that God didn't want anyone to perish, but all to come to repentance. And so I think that now understanding just Job 38 and 39, just the immensity of God and how big he is in the universe, and even the things in which I can observe, like the crow and how crows, the way that they caw whenever they have an enemy, like a hawk, the way that it works, they actually communicate to one another. And I've learned like how that works with even and odd numbers and how to test distance. Crows are incredible creatures. But even I don't understand how it works. Okay.
I,
But go
go on, carry
ahead.
on.
Well, I just wanted to point out that even and so it's the same with the spiritual. If you want when you read the Bible like we are and you try to understand it with your knowledge, you're going to understand some of it. You are. But there's a lot of it that you will not understand it unless you're with him in the spirit. It's revealed. It's spiritually discerned. Things happen through the spirit. That's how you learn it. So a lot of the stuff that me and Elaine are talking about here, a lot of you already know. This is just a refresher course for you. And some of you may have never heard, oh, you mean God made the wild ostrich that didn't care about its young and he took away its wisdom on purpose? Like, yeah, like there's that side of God too. That's one of his attributes. And so you have to, you take the good with the bad because this is all part of the story. And so, yeah.
There's, there's, there's definitely some. I'm going to have to really look into this because I'm just getting feelings of there's definitely something going on here about the end times.
Well, guys,
There's
I'll say there definitely is, and I'll say, guys, if you will read along, think about it, and you see us as we're in the middle of this study, please get ready for the Q&A session, and let's all talk about it. Maybe you guys can make comments and help
definitely.
us
I mean,
out.
when it starts 38, when God starts talking, and He says, "Oh well, I will ask you, brace yourself." Like
Right.
he goes, "Where were you when I founded the earth?" And yeah, and then I
Uh-huh.
think when we get to the sort of end of it, when He says there, wherever the slain are, there it is. And there's
Yeah.
definitely something there from the start to
Yes, there is.
the end.
Yes, there
And,
absolutely.
and
Because
that
he's telling the whole story of Israel. Job is
he's
the whole
well,
story of
he's not even
Israel.
telling the whole story of Israel. I don't even know whether it is that particularly, or whether you have to go right the way back to like Proverbs 8 and stuff like that about wisdom. I was there before this and before that.
Yes.
Where were when I founded the who laid the cornerstone. Um,
Right.
Christ was laid far back there in Genesis chapter 1 verse 1, so he's
Yes.
obviously not talking about that. But what I'm saying is there's definitely something about the Jews at the end time here, and there's something about the horse, there's something about the eagle, there's something going on here. And I'm even going down to to the tender grass and stuff like that. Yeah, it's definitely taking you back to, I would say, going back to Genesis chapter 1, 2 and 3, particularly Genesis
Yeah.
1. Definitely going back here. It'd be interesting to have a look at that in it's just coming to me as I'm looking at it more and more. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, good stuff. All right. So, Elaine, if you're willing, I would like for you to read chapter 40.
Oh dear, here we
And
go.
are you okay with that?
Yeah, I am. But I mean, it's like when you start off all right, and then at the end you're going, "Where were you when and what did you?" And you think, I've got to try and sort of say it in a way that would be sort of, but you end up sort of stumbling and bumbling because you sort of, yeah. Anyway, I will carry. I'm just a mere mortal. Forgive me, brothers and sisters, if I
Oh
get.
my goodness gracious. You're a
I am.
wonderful
Yes.
reader. Go for it.
Here we go. Continuing to address Job, Adonai said, "Does the critic still want to dispute Shaddai? Let him who wants to correct God give an answer." Then Job replied to Adonai, "I am too ashamed. I have nothing to say. I lay my hand over my mouth. Yes, I spoke once, but I won't answer more. All right, twice, but I won't go on." Adonai answered Job out of the storm, "Stand up like a man and brace yourself. I will ask you, and you give the answers. Are you impugning my justice, putting me in the wrong to prove yourself right? Do you have an arm like God's? Can you thunder with a voice like his? Come on, deck yourself with majesty and dignity. Robe yourself in glory and splendor. Let loose your furious anger. Look at all who are proud and humble them. Look at all who are proud and bring them down. Tread down the wicked where they stand, bury them in the ground together, bind their faces in the hidden world. If you do this, then I will confess to you that your own power can save you. Now consider Behemoth, whom I made along with you. He eats grass like an ox, but what strength he has in his loins, what power in his stomach muscles. He can make his tail as stiff as a cedar. The muscles in his thighs are like cables. His bones are like bronze pipes. His limbs like iron bars. He ranks first among God's works. Only his maker can approach him with his sword. The mountains produce food for him there, where all the wild animals play. He lies down under the thorny lotus bushes, and is hidden by the reeds in the swamps. The lotus bushes cover him with their shade, and the willows by the stream surround him. If the river overflows, it doesn't worry him. He is confident even in the garden, as even in the Jordan rushes by his mouth. Can anyone catch him by his eyes, or pierce his nose with a hook? And Leviathan, can you catch him with a fish hook, or hold his tongue down with a rope? Can you put a ring around his nose, or pierce his jaw with a barb? Will he entreat you at length? Will he speak softly to you? Will he agree with you to be your slave forever? Will you play with him as you would with a bird, or keep him on a string to amuse yourself like little girls? Will a group of fishermen turn him into a banquet? Will they divide him among the merchants? Can you fill his skin with darts, or his head with fish spears? If you lay your hand on him, you won't forget the fight, and you'll never do it again. Wow.
Yeah, I know. How far did you read?
All the way down to 40. Yeah, for all to 40 I read.
Yep. Okay. So,
Why?
because it sounded like you got into 41.
No, no, no. Are you a complete Jewish Bible?
Well, I'm looking at it through the ESV. Uh,
41?
let's see what you said. Yeah, it's the end of 40. It's fine. Yeah, you're good. All right, so let's just jump right off. Let's just jump right off at the beginning here, okay? So this is a moment where now God is questioning Job. He starts right off, shall a fault finder contend with the Almighty? And then he's like, he who argues with God, let him answer it. Well, who was that? Well, it was Job. This is a direct question to Job. He's asking him, shall a fault finder contend with the Almighty? That's the that's a huge question. Can a fault finder contend with the Almighty? He who questions, he who is arguing with God, let him answer it. So Job does. Job knows, okay, he's standing. I want you to imagine this man who's wrecked, standing in the middle of this whirlwind that's blowing all over him. And he's hearing the voice of God. And he's like, okay, time to answer. Shall a fault finder contend with me? And Job he says, I am of small account. That's good. What shall I answer you? Good for you. I lay my hand on my mouth. I have spoken once and I will not answer twice, but I will proceed no further. So Job is like, I need to withdraw my case now. But God's not going to let him. All right. So he's like, I've already stepped it. I've stepped, what do we call it? We've put our foot in our mouth. All right, I've spoken too far. I don't have any knowledge. I don't even know anything about the universe. I don't even know where the mountain goat has babies. And yet I'm
Yeah.
standing between the maker of all of it and demanding that he answers me. I withdraw it. So God gives him the opportunity to say that. God gives him the opportunity, he engages with him. I want to point out that this is what it felt like whenever I heard Christ for the first time in my heart. I suddenly realized I'm undone. Like, did you ever feel that way? I'm undone.
I think when you again, it's only through trials and tribulations that you ask those questions, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And this is the thing that Job, through his his very lovely life that he had prior to what's going on that we're reading about, nothing really sort of rattled him, did it? But now he's going through all of this. He is starting to question God, which is brilliant, because that's what God wants him to do. I mean, that's what he said. Job spoke right, but you think, well, actually, Job spoke wrong, but he didn't speak wrong, simply because God's saying, well, you actually confronted me, which is really good. I want people to confront me so that I can answer them. And I think this is what he's saying now, right? You've got to the stage now, Job, where you're starting to wake up internally. You're starting to get it. It's not all about external. It's what's going on in here. Why is this going on with you? And like you said, this penny's starting to drop. You're starting to realize, well, actually, now you're bringing all these things up. It's making me look very like that. What did you say? Insignificant or of little
Uh-huh.
stature?
Yes.
I mean, it's like you said, someone's really big and all pumped up and that, and then you start to sort of tell them something about themselves, and instead of, Job hasn't walked and stormed off. Job's taken it, and all of a
Right.
sudden, this great inflated ego or whatever you want to call it, this man that's standing there with this great big sort of like stature, is like shrinking,
Mm-hmm.
shrinking, and
And it's
shrinking
and I
until he
want you
realizes that actually there's nothing left of him at all, nothing.
right.
But for the grace of God, he's there. He's there.
Yes, he is. And I want you to notice something about this point. Remember, when God first speaks to Job, what does he tell him? Gird up your loins like a
Get
man.
ready for action.
Well, God says it again. And I always found that kind of interesting. And I think about when Paul says we desire to be further clothed, right? It's almost like God is saying further clothed, like gird up your loins again, because I've only told you a little bit about me. I've told
Mm-hmm.
you about the this, and I've told you about this. 2 chapters of my mouth talking to you, and you're already undone.
Mm-hmm.
Who is this man that comes and asks me all these things? Well, you wanted it, now you're going to get it. And Job says, "Okay, I want to retract my case from you." And God says, "Stand up.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I will
We're not
teach you
done.
further.
We're not
You will
done.
learn more.
I'm going to show you more." And then he's going to
Yeah.
take us, he's going to show us what I think is amazing is I think he's describing physical creatures
Yeah.
to define spiritual things already, but especially here. When he
Mm.
gets into the behemoth, I have read and read and read. I've looked at scholars. Some people think
Uh,
it's a hippopotamus, or it's a elephant, or it's a brontosaurus, that was alive during the time of, or like
or
whatever. I,
a
I,
rhino.
or a rhino. I
I've heard
personally,
rhinos.
huh? Or a
I thought you were
rhino.
to say, yeah, rhino. I've heard rhino as well.
The only weird thing about all these really super huge, powerful creatures that you read about is that they don't have these like really large tails that swing and smack. The
Well,
brontosaurus
I mean,
would.
that depends whether you're talking about Leviathan or Behemoth.
No, we're talking
Behemoth's
about
got a little
behemoth,
tiny one.
little tiny tail.
Well, it's like a
Mhm.
cedar, stiff and strong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And by the way, a sapling of a cedar is very, very tough. Okay. But I don't think it's even about that. I think personally it's the hippopotamus because that is an animal that lays around outside of the river, but then he can go into a torrent. And did you notice how it brought up the river Jordan?
Yes.
Isn't that amazing?
Mm.
I was like, okay, so Job is from the land of Uz, right? He's from the land of Uz. And we know that Elihu was the cousin of Buzz and Uz, and like where they are in the Levant. How does this work? And the Jordan is brought up. And oh my goodness, when it hit, I was like, oh my goodness. He said he is confident though Jordan rushes against his mouth. Have you guys ever seen pictures of like hippopotamus? You know how big they are, right? You know how strong they are. Yeah. And then like you notice like whenever a torrent comes down, like imagine the River Jordan after a giant flood, or us like with Hurricane Helene. Imagine us in Hurricane Helene and how a hippo wouldn't give two craps about what was going on.
No,
He'd
no.
see things rushing and he'd be like, it's taking it in his mouth. Like, sweet. Now, the torrent that we had here with all the mountains and the woods and all that stuff, it have swept him down, but I don't think it killed him necessarily. But the point is that God's trying to say that thing that you're talking about, like that guy that you're looking at, I made him. I made him. He can handle it. I made
Yeah.
him. So all of this, even when you look at something so immense and with such power, I made that too. And can you
Yeah.
snare him by the nose? Right? Can you do this?
I
His
think it's,
shade, the
yeah.
lotus trees cover him, the willows of the brook surround him. Like he's in this peaceful place, but even when the torrents come, he doesn't matter. He just swallows it down his mouth because that's who he is. That's what I made him. So I've removed wisdom from the ostrich, but I've given him confidence in the storm. This one, right? It made me think of Jesus, and although this is probably a stretch, it's something that I wanted to point out. Jesus was asleep during the storm. Jesus was sleeping through the torrent. And the disciples were paling out the water and they're perishing and they're afraid. And they wake him up and they're like, Lord, we're perishing.
Yeah. Don't you care?
Did he get up and say, oh boy, I'm terrified? Or did he open his mouth and the storm stop? Which
Right.
happened? So, yeah, it's a stretch, but I think that's the point is
No,
that,
I think the very thing that Christ is God in flesh form, the
thank
fact
you.
that the winds and the waves obey him, I think this is once again, this is sort of like capitalizing on what we're reading here in Job.
And
Same
it goes
thing.
all the way back to what he said when he started, which was the cornerstone. When he
Exactly.
very first started, he's like, who set the cornerstone?
Exactly. And he spoke everything
Christ,
to creation by the word,
by the
and
word
the
of his
word
mouth.
said, "Let there be light," and there was.
That's right.
So
Exactly.
once again, this is all playing out to
It
what
is.
we see in the New Testament.
Oh, guys, when we get to chapter 42, you'll see it. We're getting there. We're getting there when we get to chapter 42. So here's what I'm going to do. There's no sense in me going through it. I'm not going to tell you what the behemoth is. I personally think it's the hippopotamus, and I think that they were able to observe the hippopotamus that could do all of that, but I think there are spiritual meanings that go far above it. But God is showing him all of these things. That's who I am. And Job has just said, I want to retract my statement. And God says, no.
Mm.
Stand up, gird yourself, and take it. You're going to be further clothed. I'm going to show you who I am. Now, chapter 41. If my thing will work with me
Your
here.
turn.
Can you now this is why I
No.
was asking how far you read, because it it sort of sounded like chapter 41. That's where my
Well,
brain
look,
was.
there. That's my. It goes into there's 41. It starts
Right.
with, look, any hope of
Any hope
capturing
of
him is
capturing him.
futile.
So it's continuing on with what it was it's saying right before, which in my book it kind of ends. So in ESV. So can you fill his skin? This is verse 31 and 32 of the previous chapter. I'm just going to work my way in, Elaine, where you ended. Can you fill his skin with darts or his head with fish spears? If you lay your hand on him, you won't forget the fight and you'll never do it again. Look, any hope of capturing him is futile. One would fall prostrate at the very sight of him. No one is fierce enough to rouse him. So who can stand up to me?
Yeah, and that's just something that God created.
Who has given me anything and made me pay it back? Everything belongs to me under all of heaven. By the way, that's a great question, isn't it? Who has given me anything and made me pay it back? You
Right?
realize God's never had that happen to him?
No,
Ever?
no.
We have. All right. I have more to say about his limbs, his strong talk, and his matchless strength. Who can strip off his scaly garment? Who can enter his jaws? Who can pry open the doors of his face so close to his terrible teeth? His pride is his rows of scales tightly sealed together. One is so close to the next that no air can come between them. They are stuck one to another, interlocked and impervious. When he sneezes, light flashes out. His eyes are like the shimmer of dawn. From his mouth go fiery torches, and sparks come flying out. His nostrils belch steam like a cauldron boiling on the fire. His breath sets coals ablaze. Flames pour from his mouth. Strength resides in his neck, and dismay dances ahead of him as he goes. The layers of his flesh stick together. They are firm on him, immovable. His heart is as hard as a stone, yet hard as a lower millstone. When he rears himself up, the gods are afraid. What? Did you hear that? When he rears himself up, the gods are afraid, beside themselves in despair. You think we're talking about just a regular old animal anymore? If a sword touches him, it won't stick, neither will a spear or a dart or a lance. He regards iron as straw and bronze as rotten wood. An arrow can't make him flee. For him, sling stones are so much chaff. Clubs count as hay, and he laughs at a quivering javelin. His belly is as sharp as fragments of pottery, so he moves across the mud like a threshing sledge. That's why we think it's a crocodile, but he's looking at it in the spirit, like beyond. Me and Elaine have been talking behind the scenes. He makes the depth seethe like a pot. He makes the sea like a perfumed kettle. He leaves a shining wake behind him, making the deep seem to have white hair. On earth, there is nothing like him, a creature without fear. He looks straight at all high things. He is king over all proud beasts. All right. I
Mm.
want to make mention of one thing real quick before we get too deep. I want you to notice number one, Satan is never mentioned again in this book. But I think what you're seeing here is the ultimate Satan on earth. Like, I think what you're seeing here is what you will find later as the great sea beast and the land beast that we hear about in Revelation. Like, this is a character. So I think in the ancient Near East that they would talk about this kind of god. Or this kind of creature. It sounds like a dragon, doesn't it? Got the scales and then he blows fire out of his mouth. It sounds like a dragon and it terrifies the gods. Like, what is he talking about here? And I started looking in history. The Ugaritic writings talked about this kind of a creature too. It's a chaos sea beast character, the Leviathan. Remember, Job mentions him earlier on, the Rahab or the Leviathan that's spoken about. So this is the ultimate chaos monster. The ultimate chaos, like the biggest enemy you could ever think. God made him. And that's the point. God made him too. Even the worst thing the most powerful, fearsome thing that even the gods would shake and quake in their boots over, God made it too. That includes the Satan character in chapter 1 and chapter 2. That includes the Satan character that Jesus faces in the wilderness. It includes the Satan character that stands in front of Balaam. It includes, which was the angel of the Lord, by the way, the Satan
Yeah.
character. And then later on, the same old serpent that John mentions in Revelation. I think it's chapter 15. That same old serpent, the devil. God
I'm
made him.
not. Yeah. I'm just.
I
There's
know
some,
I know where you're at.
there- there's something going on here that I can't put my finger on. It's just coming to me just by reading it. It's just that there's something that's. It's almost like the culmination in these beasts
That's right.
right at the end.
God is, and we're getting ready to cross over the threshold when we get into chapter 42. Okay. Remember, he's asked him to gird up the loins, and he said, God himself said, I need to tell you more about this beast. Did you notice? God
Yeah.
said that. I need to tell you a little bit more about this beast. I'm not done talking about him yet. Okay. So you haven't heard about the Satan character, and he hasn't been around. He's been speaking through his friends, in my opinion. And then you get to the end, and God starts talking about this chaotic sea beast.
Yeah.
That in my opinion, guys, the same chaotic sea beast is the one that's represented as the Satan character in the Sons of God. He's the one that's up there saying, if you take all of these things away from him, he'll curse you. If you do this to him, he'll curse you. And God says, oh, I made him to do that.
Hmm.
Have you ever thought of that? I made him to do this.
No, no. As I say, I'm really sort of starting to see something sort of slightly different. Um, on earth there is nothing like him, a creature without fear. He looks straight at all high things. He's king over all proud beasts.
Right. Who is that?
I
Who is that?
don't know if you're king over all proud beasts. You could look at it two ways. You could say that you're king over all of those that think that they are something, but they are not. Or you
Uh-huh.
could say that you are king over those because you are the epitome of that which is
It,
proud.
I think it's kind of like whenever you read in Ezekiel when he talks about the Prince of Tyre, or he talks about, you have these different people. Oh, how you tried to rise up. You were in the garden of God. You were in the
Yep.
stones, and then you lifted yourself above me. Oh, Lucifer, son of the morning, right?
Well, with
Um,
Thessalonians, haven't you? You've got him, sitting himself in that temple as if he is God.
the man of lawlessness. Yeah.
Yeah.
So these things that keep showing up like this chaos beast, this Satan character, whoever it is, this Leviathan thing. In the Ugaritic, it was a multiple. In the Greeks, it was a multiple headed. Like it's over and over and over. The Hydra is what it's really talking about. It's like this sea beast creature that can blow fire and nobody can catch it. I think it's talking about crocodiles and also talking about the ultimate chaos beast. And if you want, Elaine, we can do a follow up if you're really, really digging in and seeing something here.
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
know, and we can
yes,
talk about it in our Q&A, and our Q&A will be as long as it needs to be.
yeah.
We'll
That would
keep
be
Elaine up all night long, right?
yeah, yeah.
That'll
Because
give you till Thursday to get ready.
yeah, but as I say, I'd really like to, because again, he's talking about the behemoth and Leviathan.
Uh-huh.
It, I don't know. It's like he says there. Now consider the behemoth, whom I made along with you, and then you've
Uh-huh.
got Leviathan. Can you catch him with a fish hook?
Look, the
It's
behemoth is
there's a
the behemoth is the land beast, and the leviathan is the sea beast, and you're going to find them in Revelation. And
you
it's a
are
combination. It's the clay and the iron that mix together at the base of the statue. He's telling the story of Israel, and we are that Israel. It's not done, okay? We are the Israel, but
no,
he's
but it's definitely. This is what I'm saying. There's definitely the end. Again, because you go back to Genesis, it says and land came, dry land appeared
uh-huh,
in the waters, and he separated the waters and made
right.
them sea. So
Mhm.
again, so you've got these two separate sort of characters going on here that I made both
Yes.
of them. I
The,
made
and
one.
and I believe that the behemoth is showing where Israel is apostate, and I think that the sea beast is Rome that's coming in, and they're working together at some point, and then they're destroyed. Like it's telling the whole story of Israel.
It is
Absolutely,
telling the whole story, and
it
that's the thing.
absolutely
Is it?
is, and I
Yeah,
mean from start to finish. I don't mean the whole
yeah.
story. I mean like from its inception till
Yeah.
Christ
Well,
and
I
the
mean,
fulfillment of us.
Aleph and the Tav.
The Aleph and the Tav.
I am the author and I am the destination.
That's right.
That's the whole
Author and
thing.
finisher of the faith. I am the A to the Z. I am the beginning and the end.
Exactly. And I mean, even going in 39, like we said, going into the animals here and talks about like the horse and going into battle and it leaps like a
Yes,
locust. But there's things like that in Revelation,
that's right.
and they're not frightened of anything. I
No.
mean, they're scales. I mean, when you think about it as well, that, they've got that, when they put their shields, they're
Uh-huh.
so close knit, aren't they? Nothing pierces it.
That's right.
It was
And you know
formation.
what? That's right. That's how Rome did it, didn't it?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly. Okay, so let's go ahead and read 42. And I think it's only right that Elaine reads the final
Oh.
chapter of the book. Are you okay with that?
Why me?
Pretty please, because you have a beautiful voice, but
Why
you've read
don't
most of you have and you've
no,
read most of
that's
this
just
book.
your way of trying to say I don't want to do it. So
No, and actually, I love reading out loud, but I want you to read this, please.
okay
And
then.
listen, and guys, listen. You've heard us we've kind of like went all over the map here. We've been talking to you for almost 2 hours. We're going to close up this study here in just a few minutes, but I want you to think about something. God's told the whole of the story, in my opinion, and he's used Job to do this. And what's really unique is that in order to create the greater Israel, you got to have the chaos beast. In order to create the greater Israel in his son, you have to have suffering. All of this is part of it. I don't know why. I'm not going to give you the answer why, other than that's what God wants from us. He wants us to endure and to be in relationship with
Do you
him.
know what, Rick? I think it is because at the end of the day, if if they hadn't eaten of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, we wouldn't be in the situation that we are now. But I think that the situation that we're in now is beneficial for us simply because it won't happen again because we've chosen to eat the fruit of Christ, and
Yes, and I
he's
think
the
you're
font of everything.
Yes, I think that the effect of good and evil, that tree is what it means to be an Adam, that we're all born into this world. And
Yeah,
that in order to know Christ, you must be born again. And then you go into the spirit realm. And then from there, we shed our earthly tent and we're with him. But you don't
exactly.
understand all of that unless you have the chaos beast and you have the
Well, this is it.
suffering.
But you go back to Genesis 1 verse 3. Now verse 2. Now the earth was without form and chaos.
Right.
So who are we talking about? All of these beasts. These are nations. These are peoples. These are attitudes. These are conditions. So
Yes.
God is using all of those things to bring about a condition. This is the chaos that's being brought about by Adam, who was created from the dust of the ground. He
Yes.
produced it, and it
Who
was
sold
only
us
dark.
down the river, as you say.
Sorry.
Who sold us down the river.
Exactly. He did sell us, and literally, I mean, the deep is the river that he sold us down, because everybody that came from his loins had the same defect. We're all born in darkness, but it was only
Yes.
those that he said, "Let there be light," and he drew like it's a fluttereth over, and it's lapping up the waters, and so therefore, yeah. Once again, we're going back to this wonderful love story that was right there, and we just said about where was you when the earth was formed, and I laid the cornerstone. Well, yeah, that's going right the way back to Genesis again. It's taking us right the way back, and all the animals. We've said that before. The animals, all the way through scriptures. we've got animals depicting nations, depicting individuals, depicting whoever, like, groups of people, sheep and goats, and um, nations, world powers and individuals.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's all, and it all goes back to Genesis, the first Adam, and it goes back to the reality, which is Christ, which is the last Adam.
Yeah,
The whole thing is just,
I know. It's all Elaine.
it's all connected. It's a
Did
love
you
story.
know did you know all of this was in the book of Job?
Me?
Did you know that
No,
all of
no,
had none of this happened, would we have not, like, look, all of this is in the book of Job. Did you
I
guys
know.
know that? Like, are you
No,
kidding me? All right,
yeah,
so let's finish up. Let's, if you would, read the last 16 verses of this book. Let's close out our study. And then
right,
guys, we'll tell you that we're going to do a Q&A. I'm going to say Thursday at 6 p.m. This Thursday at 6 p.m.
perfect.
Elaine, you and I will talk behind the scenes. If anything changes, look on Patreon. I'll put a notice out so that you guys can join us, okay?
Excellent. Right, it says, then at last Job gave Adonai this answer: I know that you can do everything, that no purpose of yours can be thwarted. You asked, who is this hiding counsel without having knowledge? Yes, I spoke without understanding, of wonders far beyond me, which I didn't know. Please listen and I will speak, you said. I will question and you give me answers. I had heard about you with my ears, but now my eye sees you.
Boom. I love it.
Boom.
Yeah.
Therefore, I detest myself
Yes,
and
you do.
repent in dust and ashes. After Adonai had spoken these words to Job, Adonai said to Eliphaz the Temanite,
What? He's going to talk to Eliphaz. Here we go.
yeah, my
Oh boy.
anger is blazing against you and your two friends, because, unlike my servant Job, you have not spoken rightly about me. So now, get yourselves 7 young bulls and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job, and offer up yourselves a burnt offering. My servant Job will pray for you, because him I will accept, so that I won't punish you as your boorishness deserves, because you have not spoken rightly about me, as my servant Job has.
What?
I know. So Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad the Suhi, and Zophar the Naamati went and did what Adonai had ordered them to do, and Adonai accepted Job's prayer. When Job prayed for his friends, Adonai restored his fortunes. Adonai gave him twice as much as he had before. Then all of his brothers and sisters came to him, also all who had known him before, and they ate a meal with him in his house. They consoled and comforted him for all the evils Adonai had inflicted on him. Each one
What?
gave him a piece of silver and a gold ring.
Mm.
Adonai blessed Job's later situation even more than his earlier one. He had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 pairs of oxen, and 1,000 female donkeys. He also had 7 sons and 3 daughters. The first he named Yamimah, the second Kitzia, and the third Keren Hapuka. Nowhere in the land could women be found as beautiful as Job's daughters, and their father gave them inheritances along with their brothers. After this, Job lived 140 years, long enough to see his sons and grandsons, 4 generations. Then, old and full of days, Job died.
Mm.
Oh.
Listen,
Is
and there were
that, do you
7,
know,
there
it
were
brings tears to your eyes because it's so beautiful.
it was 17 verses. I said 16. Listen, excellent job, Elaine, reading this whole time during the series.
Bless you and you.
But listen, guys. This is this is such a wild part. I love this. So Job comes right out and he's like, "You asked who is this hiding counsel without having knowledge, yet I spoke without understanding." So he's like, when God finally comes to him, he's like, "Okay, who is this that does this?" And he makes him stand and deal with it. He finally gets it. And he says, "You know what? There were wonders far beyond me, which I didn't know. I will speak. You give me answers. You said, give me answers. God, you said you speak now and you give me answers here." And I love this. "I heard about you with my ears, but now my eye sees you."
I know. That's this inner person, isn't it?
Let me
It's the
ask you guys a
heart.
question. Do you think you can see a whirlwind?
Do I think he could see a whirlwind?
Do you think Job could actually see a whirlwind?
I think he could see. I don't know whether he actually saw a whirlwind as a, weird dust blowing around, but I know that
What did Jesus say to Nicodemus? He said,
the
you
wind.
see, being born from above is like this. The wind goes wherever it wants, and you can hear it. You can see its effect, right? But you don't know where it's coming from. You don't know where it's
No.
going. The same with those born of the Spirit.
Mhm.
This whirlwind is representation of that, in my opinion, of the new covenant kingdom that's coming, and it's by the Spirit. And Job says, "And now I see you." Look, what did Jesus always say? For those who have ears to hear, let them hear what the Spirit says. They have eyes, but they cannot see because they're blind, right? Job is showing us what it means to be born again.
Yeah. But
Job,
again, you remember what it says in Corinthians, where it says, "When there is a turning to Christ, the veil is taken away."
yes,
So
it's
there,
this.
it's this understanding. It's this heart movement that you
Uh-huh.
know this person, who they are. So instead of just hearing about you or heard about you, now you see it. And that's what it says. The veil is taken away. You can see with the perception, with the understanding, with the trusting, with that it's internal. It's not with your eyes, it's not physically that you see. It's
Right.
an internal seeing. It's a movement within. And this is what Job is saying. Everything was external. It
Uh-huh.
started externally. It's a bit like the Jews. They had the law. Externally, they saw it. They did this. They did that. They offered up this, blah, 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 the same as Job. But then when the veil is taken away in Christ, they see fully. They
Mhm.
understand fully who God actually is. It's not about external. It's about internal.
That's
And this
right.
is this is what I think that Job is now saying. He says, I heard about you, but now I see you.
Yes. And then what's amazing is that he turns and he speaks to Eliphaz. Eliphaz didn't ask for that, did he?
No.
But because of what happens to Job, Eliphaz does come to him. Eliphaz does come to him like to be with him. He eventually, accuses him of things that he shouldn't be, but he comes to him as a brother. But what ends up happening is that you get um this effect of as you draw closer to God, even your enemies or even your friends, whatever, can be spoken to by God as well. Okay, that's one part of it. There's another part of the big story, which is the Gentiles are coming in. Okay, so he then will speak to them, and that's where he sends Paul to go after them. Okay, so Christ was first, and then after Peter and Paul, that's where it starts to go to the Gentiles. This is that scene, right, where God is now speaking to the Eliphaz, but they have to come in, but they have to do it under Job's sacrifices. Okay,
Exactly.
which is where the Gentiles come in, but it comes under Christ, who is
It
the
does.
Jew
100%.
first for
Yeah.
the Jew, and then for the okay. So that's the story that's being told here.
Yeah.
But then
I think
after,
bringing that to mind, because he says there, I know that you can do everything, that no purpose of yours can be thwarted.
right,
It's what is the purpose? What is the ultimate goal?
hmm
It's to bring Christ into the world and for Christ to be that one that tears down the wall of separation and then brings together under Christ, under knowing God, under seeing
hmm
him, not just hearing about him. It is the story of the gospel.
it is. It's the whole story of Israel. I've been saying it. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so now he tells him to get 7 young bulls and 7 rams and to offer and the and then go to Job. So he's telling Eliphaz, you go bring the sacrifice to my servant Job. Okay. And then he tells him, like, you guys didn't speak right of me. But he says, if he does it for you, I'll accept it
Mm.
on behalf of you. And I won't punish you as your boorishness deserves.
Mm.
Mhm. Because you have not spoken rightly about me as my servant Job has. So as you've known, even though Elihu comes and jumps down Job's throat because he wasn't giving God the right, which he was right about, Job, he didn't misspeak. We know this now. God himself said it. You didn't speak rightly of me. See, you weren't representing me truthfully, whereas Job was honestly. You,
Yeah.
yeah, he darkened my counsel without knowledge, but that doesn't mean that he's wrong. He just
Well,
needs
again,
to know me further.
this is the whole thing, isn't it? That you think because God is just, your reasoning is, well, you must have done something, because if God is just, he wouldn't be inflicting something like that upon you, because that's not, you consider, but that's not justice. So therefore they reason wrongly about God. And that was the whole point. And they were taking that as gospel, if you like. That
Mm-hmm.
is what God is. But it was so far removed from what God was. It's a bit like the Jews coming up against the Christians. It's a bit like the Jews coming up against Christ,
Uh-huh.
thinking that they knew everything, thinking that this is the Lord, that's it. I give a tenth of this and I offer up that and blah, blah, blah. And I'm doing it all correctly. But they've just totally missed seeing him.
Yeah, that it's so. I mean, I never knew Job was about this, Elaine.
Well,
But
it's
get
beautiful.
ready. Here, get ready for this one. This is this is probably my most favorite part of this book. And I've been through this book the whole time, but listen to this. So after he prays, it says right here that his whole family comes back to him. So that means that his family were there the whole time, but they didn't come to him, did they? His friends did. There was a purpose for this, okay? But his family were there. So now everything's back and his brothers and sisters come on or whatever. And they consoled and comforted him for all the evils that Adonai had done. It's acknowledging the fact that God had done this to him. He allowed it. And each one gave him a piece of silver and a gold ring.
Mm. There's
Wow.
something there.
Oh, there's something there, all right. Adonai blessed Job's later situation even more than his earlier one. He had 14,000 camels. Remember, earlier he had 7,000. He had six or sheep. He had 6,000 camels. He had 3,000 camels at the beginning. He had 1,000 pairs of oxen. Yep, he had 500 pairs of oxen at the beginning of the story. And then 1,000 female donkeys. He had 500 female donkeys at the beginning of the story, okay? But I want you to listen to this. He also had 7 sons and 3 daughters. Now, it didn't say that he gave him a double amount of sons and daughters, did it? And the reason why is because those first sons and daughters still matter in the
They
posterity of
do.
humanity.
100%.
They still matter later in the story for Job as well.
They do.
Okay? They do. But I want you to notice something about the book of Job. Do they ever name the sons?
No,
But they name the 3 daughters, don't they?
they
That are
do.
born after this. Don't you find that kind of interesting?
I do. And then the fact it says there that nowhere in the land could women be found as beautiful as Job's daughters. And
Uh-huh.
again, it's this beauty. I don't think it was talk. It may have been physically as well, but I think that internally it's talking about this beauty that they see God.
And yes, that is beautiful and I love it. But you know what I think the most important thing about those daughters? It's the next verse. Listen to what he says. And their father gave them inheritances along with their brothers.
I knew you. That's the same thing as me. The same thing as me. Because in those times,
That does not happen.
no,
That does
no,
not happen.
no. But what do we know about men and women in the New Testament? What do we
When
know about
Jesus
that under
comes
the
out of
new
the
covenant?
tomb, when Jesus comes out of the tomb, does he immediately run to Peter?
No,
Who does he go to?
Mary.
Mary Magdalene,
Yeah,
right? Or the women are there. If
women
the
at the
women
well, sitting down with Mary. Martha's faffing about doing dinners. And it's
Yeah.
women, and and they have inherited. Oh,
Inherited.
yeah,
Inherited. You got
a
it.
lot of inheritances along with their brothers. And again,
Yes.
it's this equality being brought out, isn't it? Because when you look back there, like you said, there is neither male nor female.
Uh-huh.
And that's the whole thing. Jew nor Greek, slave nor free. It's the whole thing here. They're all getting the same inheritance. And
Mhm.
we know what that inheritance is.
Yes.
We have it,
Guys, Job
and
is the
that
total story of Israel and how to become a high priest and how Christ is the one that did it. That's what it's
absolutely
about. That's what it's about.
it
And
is.
Elihu represents John the Baptist. By the way, guys, you don't hear another thing about Elihu before or after. In
No,
my opinion, he's the John the Baptist. And I think that he says he must decrease so that Christ can increase. I think that that's the
yeah.
whole point. He's the one that brings the whirlwind in and shows
Well,
you.
this is it. He's like the mediator between the two. He's the go-between, isn't he?
Mhm, mhm.
He's got this bit, and then he hands it over,
Yeah.
and it's like, hang on a minute, someone's trying to ring. Can somebody ring you? No, that's oh, how do I deny? No, stop. Message. I'll ring you in a bit. Can't talk right now. That's it. Go. Oh dear. Sorry. Oh, that's it. Gone. Sorry
Okay.
about that. Yeah.
It's
Where
okay.
was?
So here, all right. So we're at the end of the story. We're at the end of Job. And the thing that says is that, and after this, Job lived 140 years. Okay, remember, that means that it was prior to the time whenever God would not let people live past 120 years. You can go back and see that, okay? Long enough to see his sons and grandsons, 4 generations.
Hang on a minute. Bye, darling. He's going, my husband. Bye. Bye, darling. See you later. Enjoy.
See ya, Chris.
See you, Chris.
See you, Rick. Bye,
See ya.
man.
Now everybody on our Job study has finally heard Chris. I get to talk to him. He's a lovely man. All right. So, um, I want you to remember that there's a time in the scriptures whenever God says, "My men are flesh, and I will not deal with them much longer." So 120 years is where I put the capstone. Job is in the patriarchal period, so we know this because right now it says that Job lived 140 years after all of that happened. So we don't know how old he really is. It doesn't really say. But what's more important is that he gets to see 4 generations beyond that. So he's an
It does.
incredibly blessed man.
Yeah. And if you think a generation is 40 years, the man's 160, isn't he?
Yeah, plus the 140, that would make him 300 years. But he's already older than that. I think he's probably 490 years old.
Well, to be honest
And I'll
with
tell
you,
you why.
if
Because
we go from
that's the
Daniel,
70 weeks.
exactly.
It's all there. It's all in here. I'm
Well, yeah,
telling you.
that would take a little bit of sort of, of having a little
I'm
look into
not,
that
yeah,
one.
I'm not even
But
going into the numbers, okay? But
no,
listen, to all of you guys that have been with us from the start, if you're willing to comment, I want to ask you a direct question. Did you think that this is what this book was about? Did you go through the study and suddenly think, uh-oh, I didn't know what this book was about? I did. I thought I knew what it was about. And I was going through hell on earth. And I was like, Elaine, I'm going to go through the book of Job. I got to see what all this is about. Oh my goodness, am I glad I did.
I
And
know.
I hope that if anybody in your life is going through hardship that you know,
Mm.
point them to this study. Take them,
Yeah,
say, go through it with them, guys. It's only 20 something episodes, but go through it with them and listen to it because there's something more that you need to see. This is
there
the
is.
story of Israel. It's about the high priest and how Christ is the high priest. It's about all of what God had in store for his people, and he told it
Yeah,
long before it
he
ever
did.
happened.
He did. And
And guess what? He knew it before he even laid the first cornerstone.
he did. And yeah, and that's the whole thing, isn't it? In the beginning, Aleph Tav created
Yes.
the earth. And that's it. It's the power of the cross. The Aleph is the power, the strength. The Tav is the mark, the sign, the cross. So he is the power of the
Yes.
cross that created the heavens and the earth. So it's the word
Absolutely.
all
Well,
the time, all the time.
yes.
It's
So
crazy amazing. It's a
because
love story. It's the most gorgeous, beautiful, tender love story in the whole of eternity. It
Mhm.
is. It's
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful. You know, the template of the creation laying over the top of it, this wonderful sort of journey that we're on spiritually and where we're going to end up. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Well, and I mean that in the most, it's amazing. It's awe-inspiring. It's beyond your wildest dreams. It's just too beautiful to even, I can't even think of words that would describe it. Can't. It
Yeah.
just is touching you sort of do you want to go out, Billy? Come on. My dog Billy.
Yeah, you need to put your dog out?
No, he just wants a tickle.
Okay.
If
Well,
it's a
you've been
question of
on
going out or having a tickle, I just put my hand out. He thinks, yeah, tickles. I want a tickle.
right. I have dogs. I used to have dogs. I haven't had a dog in quite some time, and I miss it. Sometimes I wish I had a dog.
I love dogs. I got 3.
So, does Job fear God for nothing? That's the question.
Mm. Well,
And the
again, I
final
think he
thing that
dies
Job
open
said
in the
is,
end,
"Now
doesn't he?
my eyes see you." You got it.
Exactly. And that's the thing, does fear you for nothing. Well, he didn't even really know what fear was until he had it all taken away. And that's the point, that Satan once again thought he was doing a disservice, like when he put Christ on the cross, thought he was doing a disservice. But actually, he brought about the prophecies that were going to set the ball rolling, which it includes us where we are now.
Mm-hmm.
Same back there, set the ball rolling. I mean, he's again, I'm not dissing anyone, because even Moses didn't, even the angels, when they had to dispute over Moses' body, didn't charge anything like that. But you got to think to yourself, haven't you woken up yet? I mean, he's gone. I mean, I think he's gone anyway now. He's at Lake of Fire back there in 2,000 years ago. But yeah, you just think, well, he just it's just that you this is how arrogant and how haughty and proud he was, that he thought that he could actually outdo God. I personally, this is my own personal thought process, I think that he was the first angel that God ever created. That's who I think this Satan is, the one there that went before, the one who sort of challenged those in the Garden of Eden. I think he was the first one. And I think that everything after that, he saw how he brought it about. And I think that that's why he thought he could challenge him, because he thought, well, I know an awful lot. You've taught me an awful lot. But at the end of the day, yeah, because I think he was the firstborn angel, created angel, the first created.
I think God made him to be that way. I think God designed him to be exactly what he was.
Yeah.
This is what God wanted. This
Hang
has
on a
nothing.
minute. Hang on a minute. Yeah, out you go, Bill.
Yeah, while she's putting Bill out, I'll say it out loud again, and I'll say it when she comes back. Like, I believe that the Satan that was created because God wanted it this way. God made the Satan the way that he determined to do so. That Satan will always function in the way in which God designed him to do so.
Yeah. And this is it. And I think this is where you got the duality of the physical and the spiritual. You got the first Adam, physical, and the last Adam, who's Christ, physical. He came to the earth as God in flesh. But you also had the firstborn angel, or the first created angel. And then you had the first son that came from heaven. So I think, and then you got the spiritual, the one that thought he could do everything, but the one, Christ, that actually obeyed, submitted to the Father, and did everything, didn't challenge him, just pleased him all the time. This is my son who pleases me. And then you got Adam, he brought about chaos. And then you got Christ, who brought about peace and tranquility and all that is good through the Spirit. And I think there's the sort of duality in the heavens, and there's the one, because again, the firstborn over all creation. And again, you're talking about Christ over the creation of all that is back there physically, but also spiritually he was. But he was always there as God. So, we have to look at the physical aspect of him. But yeah, that's what I think it goes back to. That, Satan thought that he could challenge God. And instead of recognizing that he was in that wonderful position, that was a great honor to be that first one. I think that he thought that's why he could challenge. That's why I get that. That's what I think. That's my own personal thought process on the thing. But then you had the only begotten, unique one of a kind, Christ, that came down, that was the son that was obedient and, bowed to his Father and did everything his Father wanted to.
And I think you should recognize this, when Jesus talks about the binding of the strong man, he must first go in and bind him before he plunders his house. I mean, that's talking about that Satan character. It's talking about the enemy of God.
The binding is everyone that is in opposition.
That's right.
Is the adversary, is the one that's, and that could be anybody. It could be Satan, the demonic forces.
But it shows it again, like at the end of the scriptures, when you get to the millennial reign. Where is he at? He's in the abyss. He's bound him in the abyss, right? But what happens? He lets him out. He lets him out for a little season. God's always in control.
The thing is, again, you got to say to yourself, well, he let him out the last 3.5 years. Then if he was bound, well, he was on the earth still doing an awful lot. But the only thing is that he was bound in was that he could not now thwart the plans of God. You have to bind someone. And I think that the binding of him was the fact that the gospel went out to all the world.
1,000,000%. But my point is that he bound him and then he let him loose. Like 100%. God is always in control, and that is like a dog that he lets off a chain. It is designed to do something, and God used it in order to have what he wanted. And that was us. We were part of what he wanted.
Yeah, who are you darkening my plans? I know everything. My plans that you consider to be dark are actually total and utter light.
That's right.
I'm in control of them. I designed them. I was the architect. I was the one that orchestrated it, and this is the whole thing. We have to understand that no matter what happens in our lives, that this is fleeting. We have an eternity that Christ died to give us. And as we're passing through, we've died to self. we're passing through, we've been made it, and all we just now need to do is to dispense the gospel, is to speak to everybody at any opportunity that we can, because I want to hear, well done. You did.
So do I.
Done, and that's
Absolutely.
it. And but again, the whole thing is, again, you could spend another couple of sessions discussing the whole thing in its entirety, trying to bring it together.
Well, I mean, I think that's what the Q&A can be about. I think that's where we follow up. But anybody that wants to join us, I'll put out an announcement and give you guys a link to come to it, whether it's going to be on a Zoom call if you want to join us, or if it's a live on YouTube or whatever. I've never done it, so I'm gonna have to learn it. But I'll put it out on Patreon for you guys to see. And then if you guys want to join us, you can, and we can talk about it. We'll have a little bit of a follow-up. We're going to try it for this Thursday at 6 p.m. So if it's after work and you can join us, please do, and please get involved in the communication. And we hope you've enjoyed it. And I'll announce, along with Elaine today, that our next book of study is going to be the Song of Songs, the Song of Solomon. And the
SOS.
I had Cherry Lewis actually. Yeah, Cherry Lewis came down. She's down from Maine visiting family, and she came to my house last night, and we were visiting with her and her husband Rodney. And she said that she was so disappointed whenever we extended it a week before we were going to release it, because she's all caught up and she wanted to watch it. And so I told her last night what we were going to do. She got the early edition because she came to the house. But she said that this study meant so much to her during this whole time that she's been up there in Maine doing her thing, right? And so I believe that the Lord put this study together for a purpose that He had in mind, and I benefited from it. I hope all of you have.
We both, haven't we? I mean, just discuss it. It literally is. You forget people are listening.
Yeah, that happens all the time. Yeah,
had a good talk about the scriptures.
Yeah, sometimes whenever Elaine and I get on the phone, like we talk outside of these recordings, and we'll talk for an hour.
Yeah, we do. Yeah,
it goes by so quick.
It could go on, but there's other things that need to be done, and that's why.
And I'm so glad that you said that, because I have to go, because it is 8:19 here. I'm already late. I've got to get to work. But guys, thanks for watching and being with us all this time. I hope that this study has brought up even more questions for you, or made you dig in deeper.
Yeah. And that's what it's designed to do, isn't it? To make you think more and go and do your own thing and have a little look. And like you say, at 6 o'clock on Thursday, hopefully people will join and bring out their thoughts maybe that they've seen, or, what do you think about that? Have you got any thoughts about this? Because that's what it's about, really. It's a collective. We're not corporate. We're collective. We are the church of God. We are children. And that's what we do. We discuss spiritual things and get a huge amount of enjoyment from them.
Mm-hmm. That's it. Thank you guys so much for being with us all this time. And
thank you.
Tony, there's 2 hours. Yeah, Tony, there's 2 hours and 20 minutes of stuff that we talked about. I don't know how many songs you're going to get out of that. But thank you.
There'll be a big book, won't there? That thing.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thanks to everybody who's been here with us. We love you very much. God bless you.
Yeah.
Grace and peace to all of you. And if you can join us Thursday, keep an eye on Patreon. I'll give you guys some notifications tomorrow or Tuesday or Wednesday. I'll give you something, okay, so that we can all get together and we can talk about it. All right. So lots of love.
Even if they can't do it till about 7 or something, if 7's easier, I'll sit up till 1 in the morning. I won't mind.
Goodness gracious. She's such a trooper.
I am, yes.
All right. Well, God bless everybody. Peace be to you. See you later. Bye.
God bless. Speak soon.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all. You come back now here. Please.
Yeah, please. Please.
Please.
Done. Iron sharpens iron.